Last night at Atlanta's Fulton County Stadium for Game 1, an appropriate tip of the cap to baseball's present as Cal Ripken threw out the first ball, and now a nod toward baseball's past, the glorious past of the Milwaukee and Atlanta Braves. It's Henry Aaron who does the honors to a rousing ovation here. Back in the booth, Bob Costas joined now by Joe Morgan and Mr. Baseball Bob Uecker. Joe, it was exactly 20 years ago tonight that you got the game-winning hit for the Cincinnati Reds at Fenway, Game 7 of the 1975 World Series. So a bit of history for you today. Tell us about Tom Glavine, Cy Young Award winner back in '91, the last National Leaguer to win it before Greg Maddux.
Well, we saw how Greg Maddux could dismantle an offense last night. Well, if you're looking for a Greg Maddux clone, Tom Glavine comes closest. In fact, in the last 5 years, Tom Glavine has won one more ball game than Greg Maddux has in that same 5-year period. He changes speeds very well, moves the ball around, and hitters always seem to underestimate his fastball. But the big factor, he is a proven winner, and he's left-handed. That'll help him against the Cleveland Indians.
Now to Mr. Baseball with Hank Aaron throwing out that first pitch. I'm reminded that as a former Brave teammate of his, you were often the first out of the dugout to shake his hand following a home run.
Well, and a lot of people don't understand that. You had to be in great shape, Bob, because I came all the way from the bullpen and right. And to be first to grab Henry was something unbelievable. Absolutely.
What about Dennis Martinez? We've seen him several times in this postseason, you and I.
Well, a 40-year-old right-hander, and the Braves are going to see a lot of sinking fastballs tonight. Good slider, cut fastball, a curve, and he's not ashamed to come high and tight.
The big question with Martinez, pitching tonight on 4 days rest instead of the full week, which helped him to be so effective in Game 6 at Seattle. And now here is tonight's Budweiser Cleveland Indians starting lineup. Kenny Lofton, who scored both of their runs last night with some base running exploits and some ninth-inning maneuvers that raised eyebrows. Omar Vizquel is the shortstop. Carlos Baerga playing with the cast, the inflatable cast on his left ankle, which he sprained in his final at-bat in the ninth last night against Maddux. Albert Bell, the 50-home-run cleanup man. Eddie Murray is at first base, not DH, has to play the field in the National League Park. Ramirez in right. Tomey at third. Pena will catch. He's caught most of Martinez's games this year, and Martinez grabs a bat for the first time in a few years. Of course, he did hit some when he was in the National League with the Expos. Glavine was 16-7 this year. His ERA 3.08. A three-time 20-game winner. Flashbulbs popping all around the ballpark on the first pitch. Lofton hitting .341 overall in the postseason, hit .310 for the regular year, and it's down low. 2-0. The plate ump is Jim McKean from the American League, Bruce Fremming of the National League at first, Hirschbeck of the American League at second, Frank Pulley, National League at third, Joe Brinkman, American League left field line, Harry Wendelstedt of the National League, the plate umpire last night, is in right. Lofton, anxious to get on board, makes Glavine throw a strike. Chipper Jones in close at third base. And a chopper. They'll have to hurry with Lofton running. Belliard grabs it and unloads in time for the out. Joe, he puts such pressure on the defense, though. You have to hurry everything.
Well, speed will cause you to make mistakes. Belliard, a fine defensive shortstop, gets rid of the ball very quickly, but we also saw how hard this infield is, and that high chopper was almost a base hit for Lofton.
They got a place like this in Indianapolis called a Brickyard.
You're right.
Vizquel, a switch hitter, takes outside. Only 4 for 39 in the postseason. Look at that, 103. Hit .266 for the regular year. On the corner. Harry Wendelstedt appeared to give the edges to both Hershiser and Maddux last night. We'll be watching closely to see how Jim McKean of the American League calls him. Here's the 1-1. Fouled out of play. You mentioned this infield, Uke. It is really rock hard and a lot of inconsistencies. There are some tough hops here. It's tough for both clubs, but obviously more difficult for the visitors.
You know, this ballpark, and I think Joe would attest to that too. We have both played here. And it has been that way since they built this place. I mean, it's always been hard, the dirt portion.
Chipper Jones, a new position, third base, 25 errors during the regular season. Easy chance there.
And as a matter of fact, the outfield the same way. I mean, if you talk to the players about this place, they associate it with artificial surface. I mean, it is that hard. And as we were talking before the game, the infield is almost like birdseed. I mean, with pebbles, little pebbles on the infield, and there's a lot of bad hops, and it's very quick.
Now Baerga, questionable up until game time. Had he been unable to go, they would have moved Ramirez up to the number 3 slot and played Alvaro Espinosa at second base. Outside a ball.
You know, he told me before the game, Bob, he didn't think the ankle was going to be a problem hitting from the right side, but as Joe and I were talking a little bit earlier, in the field may be a problem for him.
Fastball high and away. Glavine pitched well in one start in the division series and LCS against Colorado and the Reds. No decisions, though. He's 2-2 lifetime in the World Series. Split 2 decisions against the Twins in '91. Did the same against the Blue Jays a year later. Out of play. For the last 5 years running, left-handed hitters have hit for a much higher average against Glavine than right-handed hitters. It's an oddity which we'll ask Joe to explain in just a moment. Or maybe in the next inning, because this should end the first. Belliard got an easy hop, and the Indians are gone in order. Braves coming up when we come back. Looking for any signs of distress here, Joe, but Baerga gets out of the box pretty well.
Well, he's running pretty well down the line. He's not that quick anyway, but you can see he's not limping. Striding down the line. That's normal Baerga gait. He will have problems in the field, I believe. That's where his problems will crop up.
And that brings us to tonight's Budweiser Braves starting lineup. The changes behind the plate, with Lopez in and O'Brien out. Grissom, Lemke, Jones. The first 3, the top of this order, had the lowest on-base percentage of any team in the National League. Really not setting the table all year long for McGriff and Justice. Klesko behind them hit 23 home runs. Lopez, who's played very well in postseason. Belliard, the weak-hitting shortstop, they almost have to pinch hit for him late in the game unless a squeeze situation comes up like it did in the 7th last night. And Glavine, who is not a bad-hitting pitcher, he hit 222 for the year. Dennis Martinez, at 40, has become the oldest pitcher to win a postseason game of any kind when he won Game 6 in Seattle to wrap up the American League pennant. He could become the oldest ever to win a World Series game. At this point, that distinction is held by Early Wynn, who was 39 years old when he pitched a shutout in Game 1 of the 1959 World Series for the White Sox against the Dodgers. As always, El Presidente, the first native of Nicaragua ever to play in the major leagues, takes a moment of reflection before the first pitch. He prefers the warmer weather. Difficulty with his knee, contemplating off-season surgery. The elbow and then the shoulder went tender on him late in the season. They avoided the cold weather of Cleveland by holding him back for Game 6 in Seattle, and tonight it comes up 65 degrees for him. Grissom steps in and a check swing foul. He has hit safely in all 9 postseason games the Braves have played, including one of their 3 base hits last night. Fastball in on him. Shallow right field and a tough chance for Ramirez toward the line. He makes the catch, and it would have been a fair ball. Speaking of the Olympic Games, I think it's fair to say that there has not been to this point the kind of postseason World Series frenzy here in Atlanta that we saw in '91 and '92. After all, this is their 4th postseason appearance since '91. This is a town that has hosted a Super Bowl. They're gearing up for the biggest thing internationally in sports, the Olympics, next year. And maybe this place won't really rock until we come back here, if we do, for games 6 and 7 next weekend. They'll be roaring from the first pitch on Tuesday night for game 3 at Jacobs Field in Cleveland because the experience will be so fresh for them. 2-0 to Lemke, who hit .253 for the year. Remember, he had a huge World Series against the Twins in '91. 1 for 3 last night. Taking all the way, 3-0.
Well, 3 times now Martinez has missed high with those little sinking fastballs that aren't sinking here on Lemke. You know, Bob, as we watched him work in game 6 in Seattle, when they removed him from that game and we had that shot of him on the bench grimacing in pain and moving his arm and his shoulder, I didn't think he was going to be able to work the rest of the year. But here he is tonight in game 2.
And he walks Lemke on 4 pitches. Martinez, like every starter we've seen so far, Maddox especially, but also Hershiser and Glavine, is a control artist, averages only around 2 walks for a full game.
That was the amazing thing about Maddox last night, Joe. The fact that, I mean, a couple of times he went to ball 3 counts, but I could not believe watching that guy work how consistent he was inside, outside, wherever he wanted to throw.
Well, he's the best I've ever seen with his control.
Eddie Murray holding Lemke, and a strike to Chipper Jones.
The one thing you'll see from Martinez, he will never give in to the hitter. Even though he walked Lemke, he starts Chipper Jones off with a breaking ball. He will pitch the middle of this lineup tough no matter what the situation is.
Martinez was 12-5 for the regular year, ERA barely over 3. In fact, his ERA and Glavine's identical at 3.08. You might say it's a greater achievement, though, for Martinez in a DH league, and there are generally better hitters' parks in the American League than in the National. Jones with a drive to deep right. Ramirez turns. Ramirez to the fence and has to play it on a bounce. Lemke speeds for third. Jimmy Williams holds him up there on a double by Chipper Jones. That went out there like a laser beam, Joe.
And in fact, they had a shot at Chipper Jones at second base, but Baerga cut the ball. He wasn't aware that they still had a chance to get Chipper Jones at second base.
I'm wondering, Joe, if Ramirez may have had a chance to catch that ball. He looked like he may have given up on it too quickly.
Well, you're
assuming that the ball was going to get off the wall. This ball short hopped the wall. It was a high pitch, and Jones gets it all here. And the ball short hopped the wall. I thought Ramirez gave up on it maybe a little too quickly.
On that same kind of pitch from Hershiser, only it was a first pitch fastball last night, McGriff launched a rocket into the seats well beyond the right field fence. Breaking ball down and in for ball 1.
And one thing to remember, Bob, the Atlanta Braves hitters had 1 week off, and they felt like they were a little stale in last night's ball game, taking nothing away from Hershiser. But they feel like they are better prepared today because they have seen some breaking balls.
Tapped in front of the plate. Martinez looks at Lemke and now goes to first after Lemke headed back. And in fact, had they thrown behind him, they would have had him in a rundown, but Jones would have moved up, and if he stayed in the rundown long enough, McGriff would have taken second. So once Martinez was sure that Lemke wasn't going to score, he took the easy play at first.
Absolutely. Take the sure out, and they may have had a shot at Lemke at third, Joe, especially after he took about 3 or 4 extra steps in trying to induce Martinez to come that way. They may have had a shot at him then, but he takes the runner, the batter, the guy at first, and you get the sure out.
Yeah, that's the proper play. Take the out at first base. If he throws to third base and they even pick him off, they're going to get in a rundown, and you may end up in the same situation. Take the out and let them work from there.
First base open, but Klesko, who hit .310, is on deck. Justice didn't have a big year for him, just .253. But he hit Martinez well when Dennis was in the National League. Over 300 lifetime. A called strike, good location.
Now that's what you're going to see from Martinez. He's got the cutter and the sinker, and that looked like a 4-seam fastball that time. right on the inside corner. Little Taylor about knee high and a strike.
A ball and a strike now.
Let's not forget one thing. That was a great pitch he threw to McGriff to get out of the trouble that he was in for the moment. He threw him a changeup that looked like a fastball. He had great arm speed, looked like a fastball. McGriff topped it right back to him. And he's capable of making great pitches under pressure. That's what separates the good pitchers from the average pitchers.
Every time you think you got this guy timed, he pulls one back on you again. Puts a little more on, takes something off.
Now the 1-1. Perfect pitch. You saw Pena slide outside. There was no way Justice could pull that ball. Put it exactly where he wanted it.
I love watching Pena work with Martinez. Here it is again on the outside corner, and just on the outside corner. Jimmy McKeon liked it, but I love watching Pena work with this guy. And throughout this game, you'll watch Tony Pena. You'll see him check hitters, look up at hitters, and see where they're trying to watch. See if they're trying to pick him up, sitting inside or outside.
And he spoils the 1-2 pitch. Again, making him reach for it.
But I think one of the reasons Justice has hit well against Martinez is he feels that he sees the ball well, and Justice is also capable of going the other way. Justice will hit a line drive to left field if Martinez stays out away from him.
Lemke, who walked with 1 out, is at third. Chipper Jones, who followed with a double, is at second. 2 down, no score, bottom of the first, and a 1-2 pitch coming to David Justice. Fans reacting to a good catch made by somebody in pursuit of a souvenir. Actually, somebody up at the press box level.
John Denver.
Again on 1-2. Off the outside edge. Justice has 6 postseason home runs, none this year.
Joe, he just doesn't give in, does he?
No, he doesn't.
Talk about Maddox and all these other guys. I mean, this guy has been around forever, and you've hit against him and watched him, and he just does not give in. I mean, he's going to try and get you to chase pitches down low and away, drop a low inside curve on you, slider.
And now he goes full to Justice. And if he's going to throw a strike, Uke, it will be a perfect strike.
I mean, it's almost comical to watch this guy work. I mean, you don't enjoy it as a hitter. I mean, if the umpire is pulling back on you on those outside pitches, Joe, but as a broadcaster, as a spectator, you gotta love watching this guy work. I mean, he just doesn't give in to you.
Payoff pitch. Breaking ball low, and Klesko will bat with the bases loaded. After trying to run several fastballs toward the outside edge, looked like he went curveball that time, Joe.
Well, he had thrown 3 pitches away. He had to come inside. He chose to come in with the breaking ball. You can see the hole right there in that breaking ball, the spin. That's how you recognize the curveball. The rotation allows you to see it because there's a hole in it.
Bases loaded, 2 out. And Klesko. He threw him the change on the first pitch.
Yeah, he had Klesko way out in front. And again, staying with the sinking fastballs on Justice, flips him a 3-2 curve, he misses, and then starts this kid off with a change of pace. Upstairs.
A ball and a strike. Here's the way one scouting report read a few years ago on Ryan Klesko. In a few years, this kid could be hitting 30 home runs or driving a truck. Looks like the Teamsters will have to wait. 310 with 23 homers. Stepping off and looking the runners back. Martinez taking all the time in the world in a first inning jam. And the 1-1. Good breaking ball. He was nowhere near it. 1-2.
Well, the scouting report on Klesko has to be off-speed pitches, a lot of changeups. He will chase the changeup because it looks like a fastball and then throw him a lot of breaking balls. This one is just a poor swing. This ball never started in the strike zone, and it's a great play by Tony Pena to save a run. I mean, look how he shifts out there and he makes the catch. Great stop there by Pena. That saves a run.
Absolutely, Joe. Nice play on a breaking ball.
So he's got Klesko 1-2, as he did Justice before walking him. And the count evens. If the Braves should lose Fred McGriff to free agency, it's likely that Klesko will come in from left field and play first base.
I don't see how this club can't sign him, though. I've always liked McGriff. I've always thought he's been a good first baseman. Got power. He's going to hit for average for you. Good guy on the ball club, too.
The 2-2.
And one thing to remember, this was not a real good ball club until Freddie McGriff came over in '93, and they went 53-17 after he arrived. But more than just the bat that he brings a certain personality, a calming personality to the young players, and he keeps the veterans on their toes. He is a leader as well as being a good RBI man and a good home run hitter.
Remember that bolt he hit in the All-Star game a couple of years ago? In Pittsburgh?
Off Lee Smith.
Wow.
Another 2-2 pitch. Ground ball foul.
I say last year, 2 years ago, last year.
You know, with all the strikes and the other nonsense, it's hard to keep track.
It is, you're right.
There's the crime dog.
There he is, yep.
A lot of clubs will bid his price up once this season is over. But that's part of the Braves' success. The farm system is so deep they can replace departing players and they can trade prospects for veterans when they need them. Another 2-2 pitch. And a high pop-up, and I mean a mile high. But when it comes down, the Indians should be out of the inning. Thome has it in fair ground. The Braves leave the bases loaded. No score after a long first. Throw the usual percentages and managing by the book out when you talk about Glavine. Right-handers hit .229 against him this year. Lefties .321, and it's been roughly that way for 5 straight years. Why, Joe?
Well, the main reason is because he stands to the third base side of the rubber to get a better angle on the right-handed hitters. His fastball tails away and his changeup will move away. But that hurts him against left-handed hitters because he can't get the angle for the curveball. See how he stands way over toward third base. That's a great angle for his sinking fastball away from the right-hander and the changeup away. But again, it hurts him because he can't start the breaking ball at the left-handed hitters.
Albert Bell, a terror with 50 regular season home runs and a batting average of .317 in the postseason. Very tame until now. .219, 2 homers, 4 RBIs. Led the American League in homers, slugging percentage, runs, total bases, extra base hits. Tied Mo Vaughn for the RBI lead and Edgar Martinez for the lead in doubles. That's out of play.
He hit a ball well to right field last night after seeing enough stuff away from Maddox. And Greg just staying outside corner, or just off against Bell. And Albert finally hit a ball deep to right. But I mean, Maddox, again, last night, Joe, with every Indians hitter, but especially with this guy. And there you see Greg Maddox. That's about how he looked last night when he was pitching, too. Did he sweat last night at all?
Look at him.
I didn't see it.
Looks a little bit like Clark Kent, doesn't he?
Or Charlie Sheen.
Glavine works 1-1 to Bell.
You wonder sometimes if a guy like that showers after the game. I mean, no sweat, no perspiration, easy game, nice job. Walks in the clubhouse. See you guys tomorrow. Get in your car with your uniform on and head home.
And the 2-1 pitch. Sounded like a broken bat, but it finds the hole for a leadoff single.
Well, Glavine got a changeup away, which is the way they're going to pitch to Bell. Changeup's away, a few fastballs off the plate in. This one is away, hits it off the end of the bat, but he finds a hole on the right side. But Glavine is not too unhappy with that. Now watch, changeup away, right off the end of the bat. And you see Bell had really opened up. Not a lot that he could do with that pitch other than what he did.
Now Murray, who played only 18 games at first base for Cleveland, once a terrific fielder as well as hitter. And a drive on the first pitch that may leave the yard. Chasing it into the corner is Klesko, and it's gone. Forget about the glove work. He can still hit.
Well, he had been 0 for 11 from the right side in postseason play, but he can always hammer that high fastball. Glavine makes a mistake, and Eddie Murray makes him pay for it. High fastball.
Now that one didn't ride, Joe. It didn't ride away from Murray. Here it is one more time. As you said, high hanging fastball, and when he hit it, he knew he got it all. Right on the fat part. Klesko to the wall. Adios.
So after the Braves leave the bases loaded in the bottom of the first, the Indians immediately strike for 2 in the top of the second. Glavine seldom allowed a home run during the regular year. In 200 innings of work, only 9.
But he did struggle a lot in the early innings. He gave up most of his runs early in the ball game. But I think this was very important for the Indians to show the Braves that they can score, that they can put some numbers on the board.
Ramirez, who had 31 homers of his own during the regular season. 2-1.
Well, as they did against Seattle, losing game 1, coming back, lose the opener in Cleveland, come back, and then sweep from there. I mean, this club can score runs and score them in a hurry.
Only Greg Maddux allowed fewer home runs in the National League this year. He gave up 8, Glavine 9. The Indians have been shut out only 3 times all year, never held to as few as 2 hits, until Maddux shut them down last night.
When you watch Glavine and Maddux, you're watching 2 clones almost. The only difference between the two is that Maddux in the entire ball game last night never got a fastball up that high. Glavine doesn't have quite the control that Maddux has, but he's very close.
Full count to Ramirez. He reaches for it and rolls it to Jones, who charges and throws him out. Well, Tom Glavine is 3-6 overall in terms of postseason decisions, 2-2 in World Series play. And he has been, at least to date, a different pitcher outside the regular season. In 74 innings of postseason work, he's allowed now 11 home runs. So he's made a lot more mistakes in these big games. Ordinarily, Espinosa would start at third against a left-hander for the Indians. But considering that lefties hit Glavine better, Thome stays in the lineup tonight for Mike Hargrove.
Now the other thing with left-handers against Glavine, Joe, the fact that he's got that rider that will bust away from a right-hander, but it's right into the left-hander's power. Well, and if he doesn't really get it inside, it's a good ball to hit.
And not only that, a lot of left-handed pitchers do not like to throw left-handed hitters changeups, and the changeup is one of Glavine's best pitches. I think he will throw Thome some changeups and try to keep them away.
One out, nobody on, 2 runs home in the second. And 1-2 to Thome.
It's amazing in this series thus far, and it's early, but how many Indians hitters, Joe, continually are trying to pull the ball against Glavine tonight and Maddox last night, despite the fact that they're being pitched away. I know you're saying to yourself, wait back and go the other way, but when they change speed so often against you, it's tough to lay back.
That's true.
Misses, 2-2. Mike Hargrove said he had one regret about last night's game. Wished that he had pitched out on the first pitch to Rafael Belliard. A lot of people were anticipating the squeeze. Bobby Cox said he decided to put it on when he ran out to second base to argue. A bouncing ball toward Lemke. Easy play for him. He made only 5 errors all year long and might win his first Gold Glove. Anyway, Cox said when he ran out to argue the play where Vizquel appeared to juggle the ball, trying to get the force at second, and Bruce Fleming called the runner out anyway. As he was running out there, he's thinking, well, Belliard's up next. We got a man at third. We're going to put the squeeze on here. And Hargrove wasn't 100% sure. And with the bases loaded, I guess he didn't want to run the risk of having his pitcher fall behind with the first pitch out.
Well, but I think also one of the problems is that Hargrove has managed in the American League his entire life with the designated hitter. He is not accustomed to making those types of decisions with 8th place hitters up there. They do not put the squeeze on very often in the American League because they have DHs.
Let me correct myself. First and third after the force play, not bases loaded in that situation in the 7th. Go ahead, you.
Wasn't it funny when Bobby Cox told us, he said, when I put it on, I say to myself, hey, if he pitches out, we're dead anyway, but I'm going to take a flyer.
Pena taking a little stroll to gather himself behind in the count 0-2. In the air, center field, Grissom. 3 straight outs after a single by Bell and Murray's 2-run homer. And the Indians have the lead. Oh, the zany hijinks.
You know, I don't get around a lot, okay?
Oh, no?
No.
No.
To me, it looked like he was in the second row. I mean, I could be wrong, you know? I know Jim's fired up for this week in Atlanta, and he's back home, and what a place that is next door, though. Wow.
And then when they reconfigure it, it'll be one of those new old parks, like Jacobs Field in Cleveland, like Coors Field in Denver, like Camden Yards in Baltimore.
This one is bye-bye. Following the Olympics.
This is where your career ended, isn't it, Uke?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, you know, when we were in Bobby Cox's office today, that was the second time I was ever in the manager's office here in Atlanta. The first time was when Lumen Harris told me I was out of here. Matter of fact, I went in to ask him, and he said, get out.
Well, no point beating around the bush.
Nah.
They get right to the point. Lopez on the first pitch bounces one fair. Thome behind the bag, and Murray stays on the bag at the other side of the diamond for the first out. We saw those shots of Fulton County Stadium and the new Olympic Stadium, a work in progress from on high. It's the Goodyear Blimps Stars and Stripes from Pompano Beach, Florida. This is the 30th World Series Goodyear Blimps have televised. The pilot is Captain Larry Chambers.
That was nice coming back in here and getting a chance to get back into the clubhouse, Joe, where I was a long time ago. You, of course, here in the visitors clubhouse many times, but still a lot of old friends here and people who saw me play and were upset.
Belliard lofts one down the right field line, and Ramirez on the run with a nice play in the bullpen area in foul ground. Ramirez is not known as an especially good outfielder, but a fine running catch there.
Al, he ran a long way for that ball. It almost popped out. It looked like at the last moment, right when he caught it, that he was going to lose it. A little ice cream cone there, but he hangs on. Double clutch, he grabs it, and a nice running play by Ramirez. Tell you what, they talk about this guy not being all that great in the outfield, and he's getting better and better because from time to time Hargrove uses Kirby in the late innings when the Indians are in front. But this guy can throw, and as Hargrove has told us on numerous occasions, he's getting better and better all the time.
2 quick outs. Here's Glavine. He hit .222, had 8 RBIs, and hit his first major league home run in August in this ballpark against the Reds. We're in the bottom of the second. Eddie Murray's homer following an Albert Bell single in the top half of this inning has given the Indians a 2-0 lead. Braves had second and third with 1 out, bases loaded with nobody out in the first against Martinez, and couldn't score. Off speed pitch, cut on and missed. Martinez really had to work in the first. He threw 25 pitches. Ahead of Glavine now 1-2. He's on the verge of making very quick work of Atlanta in the second. And he does. That's his first strikeout. A perfect second inning. Still 2-0 Cleveland.
I've been working on some new off-speed pitches lately. This one I call the crazy ball. It goes between 97 and 98 miles an hour. It tails into left-handers.
What was that?
This one I call Mr. Snappy. Mr. Snappy has a mind of his own. A lot of guys, they don't like Mr. Snappy.
That's gotta hurt. You know, I may be getting old, but I swear that pitch came off the back of Johnson's hand.
I'm still working on a lot of these.
Back in Atlanta, the Indians trying to get even before an off day tomorrow, and then Game 3 Tuesday night at sparkling new Jacobs Field. Check the football scores. Wild one at Soldier Field, and the Bears win it. The new St. Louis Rams with their comeuppance at this point. They had been 5-1. San Francisco tying them atop the NFC West and pasting them in the process without Steve Young. Jets squeaking by Miami. Where did that come from? Atlanta over Tampa Bay. Here's Martinez stepping in. He was a 143 hitter in his years with the Montreal Expos.
What do you think he just said, Joe? Feels a little strange looking at that first one.
Look at this. Carolina's won a couple of games in their maiden season. Kansas City winning in the snow at Denver. Oakland over Indy. Sounds right to say Oakland Raiders again.
It does.
San Diego beats Seattle. Bruce Fleming involved in the controversy at second base last night, and the replay showed that he missed the call. They checked with him on this one to see if Martinez committed himself, and he says yes, he did.
Yeah, it was a good call by Bruce Fleming that time. Martinez now as a hitter didn't think he went. All Fleming said last night was, I had it right. I had it right.
And he and his colleagues usually do. Last night he didn't.
Yeah, he was a little off last night. No big deal.
The 2-2 pitch. Line drive caught by McGriff.
Well, you have to give El Presidente a pat on the back because he fought hard on this, and he finally hits a line drive down the right field line, but McGriff had him played perfectly.
Since 1986, when Peter Ueberroth changed things a little bit during his stint as commissioner, they've been using the DH in the American League Park in the World Series and no DH in the National League Park. Under those rules, National League pitchers have hit 167. American leaguers, before that Martinez at bat, have hit 100. On the other hand, American League DHs in their parks have hit 256. The National League's DHs, this is kind of surprising because you should just pull a good bat off the bench, just 195.
Yeah, but you have to remember, being a DH is like pinch hitting, and that's the most difficult job to do. People who are accustomed to DHing, you know, have a rhythm. They know how to prepare themselves.
Lofton grounded out his first time, a bullet, but Lemke has it. So they keep Lofton off the bases. a couple of steals and scored a run in the first. No one in the park knew what he was thinking in the ninth when they were down 2 and he tried to go from first to third on a ground out. He not only made it but forced McGriff into a wild throw, but it was a strange choice by Kenny.
He did score the run. He was fired up about it, and fired up today yet. But that was a tough play, and could have been a very embarrassing play for Kenny Lofton.
I really think he helped Greg Maddux in that situation. He took him out of the stretch where he could go to the windup, and all he had to do was keep the ball in the ballpark. And he threw all changeups away to Baerga. So I really think that worked to Cleveland's disadvantage. If he would have stayed at second, Greg Maddux would have had to stay in the stretch.
You know, it's almost tough to tell a guy like that, Joe, who's so aggressive. I mean, he's like that all the time. You know, to kind of pull back on yourself a little bit.
Vizquel slices one foul.
Boy, what a job he did in that playoff series against Randy Johnson, didn't he, Bob? I mean, and Joe, you saw it. I mean, I don't care who you are as a left-handed batter. That guy is intimidating. And Lofton hung in there on breaking balls, and then when he'd get the high fastball, I mean, he'd rifle a bullet to left.
And he broke the backs of the Mariners with that scamper from second base on the pass ball.
And taking nothing away from the Bulldog, Hershiser's performance in that series, I still think Lofton was the most valuable player personally.
Well, when he scored from second in the 7th inning, it was 3-0, but the game and the series were over.
And the voting was already done.
Yeah, right. Hershiser had already won at that point, but you could see the shoulders of the Mariners sag.
Absolutely.
After fighting so hard and so well for so long, they were done after that play. 2-2 to Vizquel.
Yeah, you wouldn't get any argument there, Joe, but I think everything had been done already. And as you look at Orel Hershiser, last night's loser, in a very tough outing.
First postseason loss ever. Now 7-1. Vizquel pops one in foul ground. Chipper Jones going back. It's a tough chance. He's into the bullpen to make the catch. All kinds of foul ground in this ballpark. You saw it with Ramirez earlier. Jones here. Indians out in order.
This was a great play by Chipper Jones. I mean, he made up his mind he was going to catch the ball. Normally this ball is caught by the shortstop or the left fielder, but look, he goes all the way down in the bullpen. The ball never in his sight, always over his shoulder, and he makes a fine catch there in the bullpen.
You play a full year in this park, all that foul ground is going to take some points off your average, isn't it?
I would say that it takes at least 10 to 15 points off of every hitter's average here playing in a ballpark with this much foul territory.
Grissom fly to right his first time up, and Martinez is outside with it. Last night, Tim McCarver said he felt that Marquise Grissom was the best defensive center fielder in all of baseball. He's certainly on the short list. I wonder if you guys agree that he's number one. Here's the pitch.
Now, my statement would be that Darren Lewis in Cincinnati is very good, but it's like these two ball clubs. It depends on which one of these teams you've seen the most that you're most impressed with. And I think Darren Lewis and Marquise Grissom are probably the two best center fielders in the National League.
Well, I've seen Lofton, and I think anybody who talks about center field would give you an argument, being a Cleveland fan and watching Lofton throughout the year. And I think maybe you notice it more with the Indians club, Joe, because of Ramirez and Bell in right and left, who are not the fastest guys. And Lofton has to cover a lot of ground, and he throws good. He throws a lot better than a lot of people think he does. He's got a very good arm, and he has excellent speed, as we said. There's Ramirez in right, and Bell flanks Lofton in left.
What about Junior Griffey?
Well, I was talking about the American National League.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you can talk about Griffey. I mean, he's probably in a class by himself. I mean, he's a great all-around hitter and power and has a great throwing arm. I don't think he has the speed of a Lofton or a Grissom or a Lewis.
Martinez came down sidearm, and this ball will drop out of play. Ramirez had no chance.
This is what hitters moan and groan about. You know, Joe, as a catcher, when a guy hits a fly ball and you're running down the line to back him up or take a throw behind the bag, if these balls are hitting foul territory, you can hear those hitters hollering and screaming and everything else in this ballpark. The other one is the Oakland Coliseum, another one with a tremendous amount of foul territory.
Another 1-2 pitch to Grissom. Fastball, tried to run it in on him and just missed. 2-2. You know, Tim's point, and a good one, about Grissom, is how shallow he plays, reminiscent of Paul Blair for so many years in the American League, and yet he will turn and go hard to the wall. I mean, really, he doesn't shy away from the wall. He made a running catch in Game 3 of the LCS off Jeff Branson that, if it were made in the World Series, would probably be on the all-time highlight reel. Did it get him? Yep, he's on his way to first. The fans booing, and in fact, as you mentioned, Martinez does pitch inside a lot. He hit 12 men this year, but it is obviously not his intention to hit Grissom as the leadoff man.
No, you're right, and I think this is a sidearm fastball, and you can see it. You can see that spin on that ball, sinking inside. I don't think he wanted to come in this tight for sure. I mean, to get in tight, fine, but that one nailed Grissom. And again, Martinez will do it all night long. I mean, he's not intimidated by the fact that he hits a hitter or hits a batter once in a while. He'll still come in there, but not with that guy, as you said, Bob, as a leadoff man.
Lemke, who drew a walk in the first. Grissom stole 29 to lead the Braves. Nobody else in double figures on this squad in terms of steals. Not going, and Lemke fouls one off.
And Lemke swung at that like it was a hit and run, and then he looked down at Grissom at first base as if to say, you missed a sign.
That's what he's looking at right now to Jimmy Williams. He said, hey, did I miss one?
Yeah, well,
or did he?
Well, you see this pitch is way outside, and he's protecting Grissom, but Grissom was not running. And then in the next pitch, Williams gave emphatic signs like, hey, you missed one, watch me.
That's what Bobby Cox is saying right there, too. What's going on? Did he miss one?
Not going again. And a soft line drive into center. Here comes Lofton. It drops in front of him. Grissom wasn't sure. He stops at second. Time runs aboard in the bottom of the third.
That's one of those situations where you say, I hit it like he threw it. It was a changeup, and he just flipped it out in the center field for a base hit.
Well, he went down on Hershiser's fastball last night and lined a bullet to center after Hershiser kept going away on him, Joe. When he finally had to come in there, and Lemke's sitting right on it, knee-high fastball hit a bullet to center.
Now Chipper Jones, who doubled his first time up. 2 on, nobody out. And ball 1.
And because Chipper hit a high fastball his first time up, Martinez starts him off with a curveball here, and he will probably try to get him with changeups and at least try to get the sinker down and away.
When you get a close-up of Jones, you can still see the effects of the fat lip. During the workout on Friday, a ball ricocheted off the wall and caught him right in the mouth.
I asked him tonight, I said, how's it feel? He said, fine. I said, it looks great.
You know, it adds to that old-time baseball feel that this kid has about him. Wearing the pants high, the look of him.
This is a situation where Baerga's right ankle may come into play here, not being able to cover the ground on the right side.
Sneaking in behind, and they throw it away. Martinez trying to pick Grissom off, instead allows him to advance to third. Lemke holds first.
Joe, this looks like a situation where Martinez may have thought that Baerga was going to be the cover man. He threw that ball on the right side of the bag, on the right field side of second, not even close to Vizquel, who was the cover man. Look where that throw is. And even had it been Baerga, it may have been wide for Baerga to the right side, too. Heads up play by Lemke, I was going to say, to stay at first, not taking a chance on getting thrown out at second by Lofton.
Huge trouble for Martinez. Behind on the count, 2-0. Jones swings and drives one to left. Albert Bell will make the catch. Grissom tags and scores. Lemke retreats to first. And it's 2-1.
That is one of the reasons that a lot of people think Chipper Jones should be the Rookie of the Year in the National League. He drives in runs. He produces runs for this ball club. And this is a great situation here. See, he goes the other way. Doesn't try to pull a ball. He knows all he has to do to get the run in is hit a fly ball to left field, so he does that. Good hitting there. That's a sign of a good RBI man for the future. He's going to be a good one.
McGriff was a big out for Martinez in the first. Got him on a comebacker with runners at second and third. This one deflects off Martinez's glove. Baerga throws on the run and got him. Had to come in and barehand it and score it 1-4-3.
Well, he showed no ill effects from his right ankle there. Nice play by Baerga. He actually starts back up the middle because the ball is hit up the middle. Then he has to reverse his field, and you have to put pressure on your right ankle to come back to your left. Does a good job, gets there, barehands it, and barely gets McGriff at first base. Good play.
You know, I wonder if Martinez doesn't touch that ball, Joe, if Baerga has a chance to start an inning-ending double play with Vizquel. That ball was hit to the left of Martinez, and it looked like Baerga may have had a chance to make the play on it. We'll never know.
Martinez still an excellent pitcher, but one thing that goes when you get to age 40, your reflexes slow a little bit. He's been hit by 3 or 4 comebackers this year where he couldn't quite get the glove up, been hurt on a couple of them. And here he was a little slow to react. The ball he might have gloved was deflected instead.
I think in the first couple of innings here, Bob and Joe, we've seen Martinez throw more high fastballs than he has over his last 3 or 4 starts. And I mean, as long as they're in the area where he's throwing them off the outside or off the inside, he's going to be all right there. But if he takes one high and around a hittable area, somebody's going to stiff him.
2-0 now to Justice, who doesn't have an extra base hit in this postseason and has just 1 RBI in 9 Braves Division, LCS, and World Series games to date.
And he has hit well against Martinez in the past, but I think a lot of the injuries he had this year has really taken its toll on his production. Sore shoulder, bad shoulders, bad knees, bad ankles.
The 2-0 pitch is ripped to right. Ramirez a late break. It bounces in front of him. Lemke being waved home, and the game is tied. The pitching coach, Mark Wiley, will go to the mound. Looked like a high fastball, and at the crack of the bat, Joe, Ramirez froze.
That's exactly right. It was a high fastball, and he didn't get a good break on the ball. But if you take a look at the Atlanta Braves, they're not a real good hitting ball club overall, but they do produce runs, and this is another way they produce runs. They get a lot of 2-out base hits. I don't know why Lemke was hesitating, because there are 2 outs. He should have been going with the crack of the bat, but he hesitated at second base, and Ramirez hesitated in the outfield, so maybe neither one of them knew how many outs there were.
Look at Lemke. He's upset. In last night's game, Joe, McGriff at third on that ball that was hit to Vizquel that was bobbled, and McGriff actually went back to the bag thinking they're you know, the situation, didn't know the situation, eventually scored. I mean, had no problem scoring. They were going to give the run for the double play, talking about the Indians, but McGriff went back to the bag not knowing how many outs there were. Dennis Martinez, again, when he starts getting upstairs and in the hitting area, look out.
He breezed through the second, but in the first and the third, the pitches have really piled up. Remember, a full week's rest, and even then they pulled him after 7 in Seattle when he clinched it in Game 6. Only 4 days rest for tonight's start. Last night Indians led 1-0, couldn't hold it. Tonight 2-0, and now it's tied 2-2. 1-1 to Klesko, who figures to be the DH when we go to Cleveland, and then Bobby Cox will have to make a choice. Mike Devereaux's a right-handed hitter. Indians start all right-handers, but Devereaux was the LCS MVP and is a better defensive outfielder than Polonia or Smith. Couldn't check. 1-2. So it'll be an interesting decision for Cox. Smith and Polonia, the left-handed hitters. He could hold them both back in anticipation of guys like Tavares and Mesa coming out of the bullpen late in the game, so he has good left-handed pinch hitters available. Breaking ball, tap foul.
How about when we were in Bobby Cox's office tonight and talking about his options, and he asked us, what would you guys do? What'd you guys do? I'll do what you guys want to do. That's what he said. He's great. He really is. What a great guy to talk to. Doesn't hold back anything. Siegel, obviously.
Two and two. This for Cox is his 5th postseason, 4 with the Braves, and then in 1985, a very good Toronto Blue Jay team had a 3-1 lead on Kansas City, the eventual world champions in the American League playoffs. And Kansas City won the 5th game at home and the 6th and 7th in Toronto, and did the same thing against the Cardinals, down 3-1, and came back to win the World Series, although the last 2 were at home in that instance. Every batter in this inning has hit the ball hard, even the outs off Martinez. Full count to Klesko.
If I'm Mike Hargrove, I start to worry about Martinez because the Braves are not chasing a lot of pitches now out of the strike zone. And if they make him come into the strike zone, he is going to get hit.
No action yet in the pen. Murray will play behind Justice, who will be running on the 3-2 pitch. There he goes, and here it comes, and he struck him out. But the Braves tie the game, and we're back after this from your local station. Tied at 2, Cleveland will send up the heart of the order in the top of the 4th. Baerga, Bell, and Murray against Glavine. Baerga grounded as short his first time up. This is the 12th hitter Glavine has faced. He's now thrown only 1 first pitch strike, which is unlike him, Joe.
You're correct, but as I said earlier, he usually gives up his runs in the first 3 innings. In fact, in the course of the season, he gave up 40 runs in the first 3 innings and only 36 for the remainder of the ball game. So he gets better as the game progresses.
The 2-0, a fastball hit high in the air to left. Back goes Klesko to the edge of the warning track, and he has it. This 1995 World Series game is brought to you by Chevrolet, the cars and trucks 36 million people depend on every day. Genuine Chevrolet. Sharp Electronics Corporation. From sharp minds come sharp products. And Tagamet HB, the most prescribed medication of its kind, is now for heartburn. Tagamet HB. Now it's Bell, who poked an opposite field single to right, leading off the 2nd, and then trotted home ahead of Murray, who homered as the next hitter. And a ball outside. Since they sawed Albert's bat in half after game 1 of the division series, he's managed only 1 home run. That was off Bob Wolcott in game 1 of the LCS in Seattle, and generally he hasn't hit well.
Are you making a statement there?
I'm just asking a question, really.
I'll tell you what, he's seen a lot different pitching too than he saw in that series. When they keep throwing balls away on you, away, I mean, it's tough to hit them. I wouldn't check anybody's bat for cork either. There it is again, outside a ball, and he chased it. I mean, when you're an Albert Bell, I mean, he can take you deep in any part of the ballpark. Sooner or later, he's going to look out there and hit one deep to right or hit one out.
Both these pitching staffs have done to good teams and great hitters what those teams and hitters never experienced during the regular season. The Indians shut down the 2 Martinezes and even Griffey to a certain extent for Seattle, completely shut down Vaughn and Canseco in the heart of the Red Sox order. The Braves held Cincinnati, with Sanders and Gant doing almost nothing, especially Sanders held them to 5 runs in 4 games. Shut the Indians out with Maddox on 2 hits last night. That adage about good pitching stopping good hitting has never been truer than in this postseason. Seattle got only 12 runs in the LCS against the Indians. That's a record low in any postseason series that went 6 or 7 games.
Well, the reason for that, Bob, is that good pitchers can always get to hitters' weaknesses. Average pitchers can't get to their weaknesses. You have to be able to pitch to a hitter's weakness to keep them under control.
2-2 pitch to Bell, and the count runs full. The first 5 outs Glavine got were all ground outs. The last 5 have all been in the air. I'll ask Joe after this pitch if he attaches any significance to that. Struck him out, which is the first K put in the scorebook tonight by Glavine. Before we get to Joe's response, let's pose a question. Tonight's Toyota Diamond Dust baseball fact: Lefty Williams, as you all know, lost 3 games for the Black Sox in the 1919 World Series. Might not have been trying to win them. Which former Yankee is the only pitcher to lose 3 games in 1 World Series?
Do we have to have it now?
There is no prize, so take your time.
All right.
Here's Murray, who homered his first time. Outside for a ball. What about
the significance for me is that now he's going to more changeups, whereas he was throwing more fastballs, sinking fastballs early. But I think that's his MO. That's why he gives up more runs in the first 3 innings than he does later in the ball games. I think he finds his rhythm and he starts to use his changeup more effectively. The high fastball was the one that Murray hit out. Some of the balls were hit on the ground were sinking fastballs. But now a lot of changeups are being mixed in, so he's getting a few more fly balls.
And he falls behind Murray 3-0 with Ramirez on deck.
That's like 3 in a row. 3 off-speed pitches in a row, Joe. And the last one high and outside against Murray, but again, the off-speed stuff.
Right.
You and I talked earlier about Murray, and as he gets along in years, still sits on fastballs both ways. And I mean, if you make a mistake, he still hits you hard and hits you deep.
And Glavine is well aware that a green light is flashing if Eddie Murray sees something he likes. Come on back, Eddie.
Well, that was not a fastball. That was not a 4-seam fastball. Looked like he turned us over a little bit and took a little bit off, and Eddie is questioning the pitch. See, that is not his good fastball. That is a fastball that he took a little bit off of. We should see a lot of rotation, and you do on that, because he's turning it over a little bit and taking some of the speed off.
The 3-1 pitch. Now he strolls to first.
Same pitch.
So Glavine records his first strikeout and his first walk on consecutive hitters here in the 4th.
Jimmy Williams, that's the Braves third base coach.
They want him to play behind Murray at first base. At least that's what I thought he was saying, but now he's changing his mind. At first they wanted him to play behind Eddie Murray at first base.
Here's Ramirez, grounded out his first time. He is 6 for 37 now in the postseason, and 4 of those 6 hits came in 1 game. 4 for 4 with 2 homers in Game 2 against Seattle at the Kingdome. Apart from that 1 game, he has been a confused young hitter up there.
You know, and for the most part, Bob, and we watched him last night and here tonight, anything down and away, he's still trying to pull.
Hits this ball hard, though, and it drops in for a hit.
Actually, that was an example of what you're talking about there, Bob. That was a sinking pitch away, and he actually hit it. Look, it was a line drive, but he broke his back. That was a good pitch there by Glavine, and he did try to pull it. See where this pitch is? Down and away. He tries to pull it, breaks his bat, but he hits a line drive. You have to be very strong to do this. Right out there on the end of the bat, but he's strong enough to get it over the infield, get a line drive.
He's got excellent power the other way, John. As I said, I'm surprised throughout this series thus far and the league championship series that he hasn't made his mind up a little bit more to really try and go the other way. I mean, he did it when he hit the 2 home runs in Seattle. He hit one to deep right center, and as he talks with Davey Nelson, the Indians first base coach. I mean, he can't hit that way. He's going to be a good hitter. I mean, he's a solid young hitter now. Here's a kid hits 23 years old with 31 home runs this year, and I mean, tremendous power, and he hits for average.
Thome stands in and takes a ball. He's 0 for 1. His 8 postseason RBIs are the most on the Indian squad.
Well, you see, he's done very well this year against left-handed pitching. 275, that's a good average for a left-handed hitter against left-handed pitching. He didn't hit with much power, but yet he improved his average a lot.
1-1.
But remember, in the past, Glavine has not been that effective against left-handed pitching. And I always wonder why he doesn't move over to the first base side of the rubber when he's pitching to left-handers and go back to the right-hand side of the rubber when he wants to pitch to right-handers. So he stays over on the third base side, and that takes a little bit of the angle away from the left-handed hitter.
Sliced foul, 1-2.
I know one thing: if you're gonna stay on that side, and not so much with a fastball, Joe, as you talked earlier, but if you're going to try and throw breaking balls to a left-handed batter as Thome heads back to the dugout for a new piece of wood, if you're gonna start from that angle and throw breaking balls to a left-hander, you're gonna have to start that thing way inside on that guy to have it come back and catch the corner or be a decent-looking pitch to hit anyway.
At 39, Eddie Murray obviously doesn't run very well. What about the outfield arms in case of a sharp single here with 2 out?
I still think that he will be able to score, especially with 2 outs. And you look at Klesko in left, he doesn't throw that well. Justice used to throw very well, but he's had problems with his shoulders this year. Grissom, average thrower in center field. Not any great arms in the outfield here.
The 1-2 pitch, called, strike 3. 2 strikeouts in the inning. 2 men stranded. Still a 2-2 game.
Welcome back to Atlanta, to the house that Hank Aaron built. I am now seated with the home run champion, Hank Aaron. Hank, this stadium will go down. It'll be torn down in a year from now after next season. Does that disappoint you? Does it bother you?
A little bit, but like everything else, time has to progress,
Should this be preserved as a historical monument?
I think in some parts of it, I think it's going to be historic, going to be preserved. I don't know whether the home run or whether the statue outside, I think some of it will be preserved.
Right now the plans are to keep the wall. Is that enough? Will that satisfy you, or are you still disappointed in it?
No, I'll be satisfied. That's fine. This is a brand new stadium we built over across the street, and it's going to be fine facilities for the Atlanta Braves.
Hank, you don't come to many games. Is there a reason why?
No, really, and people ask me why I don't come to many games. I can probably stay at home and enjoy the game probably as much as I want to. I know exactly what's going on. Like last night I got a chance to see Maddox pitch. I got a chance to see Hershiser pitch. And I knew exactly what they were throwing. I knew exactly what pitches everybody was swinging at, and I was fine at second guessing.
Hank, it's great to see you. Congratulations. You've been a tremendous asset to the sport. It's always good to see you.
Thank you very much.
All right, Bob.
Al, it's still nice to see Henry bringing his lunch to the ballpark. Brown bagging it.
There is just no justice. I mean, Hank got all the ink. You cleared waivers 755 times. You didn't get any pub out of that, did you?
Nah, I was one of those guys. I didn't worry about stuff.
Javi Lopez with a drive. And back goes Albert Bell to the 385 sign to glove it. Could not go another half step.
Well, the more you see of Javi Lopez, the more impressed you become with not only his power, but his hitting ability. He is a good hitter, handles all the pitches. This is a breaking ball. He handles it well. He just barely gets under it, so he doesn't get it out of the ballpark. But he is a good hitter. He hit over 300. He is just a fine hitter. And a fine receiver as well.
Joe, did you see the look on his face right before he made contact? I mean, he knew what the pitch was going to be all the way, sitting on it, and he was gritting his teeth, biting his lip, and just missed.
Now Belliard. playing in his 5th consecutive postseason. He was with the Pirates in '90. And now 4 straight postseason appearances as a member of the Braves. The breaking ball is a comebacker. Martinez takes care of him. And that brings us to tonight's Toyota Diamond Dust answer. Which former Yankee is the only pitcher, other than Lefty Williams, whom we mentioned earlier, to lose 3 games in 1 World Series? A guess? 1981.
I'll say I'll say Frazier.
George Frazier, correct.
Who?
George Frazier, the right-hander,
No,
correct.
I was talking about the fighter.
Well, it wasn't Joe Frazier. It wasn't Smoking Joe. It was George Frazier, who was not smoking in that postseason. He lost 3 games against the Dodgers out of the Yankee bullpen as Tommy Lasorda's team won the World Series.
Joe Frazier lost 3 too, so I was close.
Glavine struck out his first time. Fastball called strike 0-2.
Doesn't Henry look great, Joe?
Yes, he does.
He really does. He threw out the first ball tonight and enjoying life now. And as he said, sees a game whenever he wants to. And wife Billy with him down there.
Yeah, hard to imagine he wouldn't be able to see a game whenever he wanted. Calls the front office. Hi, this is Hank Aaron. A couple of ducats for tonight.
Sure.
I'm sorry, Mr. Aaron. We're sold out.
Sure, it's Hank. Cut it out.
Didn't you locker next to him?
I was locked in a locker next to him, yes.
Out of respect, there is still a locker for number 44
Yes, sir.
at Fulton County Stadium. I imagine he'd like to be near you. That would have been your
That was
locker.
that's where I was,
Just so that he can consult with you for tips.
Well, we kept a lot of our mail in that locker because we used to get so much, Hank and I. Yeah, he was, I'll tell you, he was a great guy to be around, and still is. A longtime friend. Played in Milwaukee to finish out his career as a Brewer.
Counts full to Glavine, and he draws a 2-out walk. Martinez has nothing like the command he had in Game 6 at Seattle.
No, as we said earlier, Bob, in talking about his location tonight, he's been upstairs a lot, and for Dennis to really be effective, I mean, the Dennis Martinez that we know as he misses on a low fastball to Glavine. The Dennis Martinez that we know is sinker, slider, fastball inside to move you back, curveball once in a while, and basically downstairs. In that game in Seattle, I mean, he was on or off the outside corner depending on who you are, right-handed, left-handed batter all night long. I never saw him pitch better than that one. I mean, not that he's pitched a bad ball game here tonight by any means, but he's been sharper.
Want to know to Grissom. Comes down sidearm. A chopper to short. Vizquel to Baerga covering. And they leave a man. And after 4, this game is still knotted at 2. For Tom Glavine and several Atlanta teammates, this is the 4th trip to the postseason, 3rd trip to the World Series. They still haven't won it all. Here's Glavine on that topic.
I think as a player, you kind of wonder how many chances you're going to get. And for this group of guys, we've had a lot of chances. And you know, when you look around at the Don Mattingleys and the Dale Murphys of the game, who don't have that many opportunities, didn't get that many opportunities, you have to wonder how many you're going to get. And you know, so that's a concern. And obviously, with the ever-changing economics of baseball, you wonder how long an organization is going to be able to keep a team like this together. So from those two standpoints, there's a sense of urgency.
On the first pitch, Pena hits it hard, but Justice runs it down and right. You know, Glavine mentioned the changing economics of baseball. He would know better than most. He's the Braves player rep, and he was among the most visible of the Player Association guys during all the labor strife, and the fans really took it out on him when they put the uniforms back on. Glavine, who was a very affable guy, well-spoken, he really took some abuse from the fans, and he was an upfront guy. He said, it's understandable. We took the game away from them, owners and players both. I understand that they need to vent some frustration. Bud Selig with a guy who played for him briefly in Milwaukee for a couple of years at the tail end, Henry Aaron. Martinez makes contact. Justice again in right on 2 pitches, 2 outs in the top of the 5th. Another view from the Goodyear Blimp Stars and Stripes from Pompano Beach, Florida. This is the 30th World Series Goodyear Blimps have televised. When does the term interim, or the word interim, disappear from in front of Bud Selig's name as Commissioner of Baseball? Presidents have had shorter terms.
Well, he's elated in Milwaukee anyway because of the new ballpark that is supposedly going to get underway next spring, due to be finished in 1999. But again, I think he enjoys the job, Bob, as the so-called interim commissioner. And again, I don't know how long he wants to keep it, if he wants to keep it on a permanent basis or not. It's a beautiful rented coat he has tonight anyway.
Well, it's one of the perks when you're baseball's nominal czar. Yeah, I know that. Voice of the Brewers. Lofton's 0 for 2. He has now been the interim commissioner longer than Fay Vincent was the actual commissioner following the death of Bart Giamatti.
That's not a bad payday, too, I guess. Has its rewards.
A ball and a strike to Lofton. I'm on my best behavior tonight. It's the World Series, and I'm enjoying myself, and so I'm reserving political commentary.
I can't believe how relaxed you are. Taking a lot of pressure off me.
The 1-2 pitch. Slapped to third, knocked down by Jones. He'll have to hurry. Hesitates. No, safe. When he double clutched on the throw, it was over, Joe.
Well, the ball was hit sharply. He knocked it down. He still had time, but he did not get a good grip on it. Now watch, he'll knock it down. Now watch, when he reaches for it, he does not get a good grip right there. So he has to re-clutch, and when he does that, it's all over because Lofton is across the bag. The same play. Now watch. He knocks it down. He should have made the play originally, but when he reaches for it, he still has time. But he just does not get a good grip on it. He has to double clutch, and you can forget about it. That should be an error.
And it is, and the totals are now identical, 2-3-1 for both clubs. Let's see how long he waits. Doesn't go on the first pitch. Outside, ball 1.
Glavine does not have a great move to first base, but he varies his delivery to the plate. He will use a slide step occasionally, and other times he will go to the high leg kick. He will just continually change his motion and his pattern, which keeps the base runner off balance.
Yeah, we're talking tonight with Bobby Cox too in his catching situation here with O'Brien and Lopez, and we were talking about which would be the better of the two as far as throwing goes. He said they're both outstanding throwing catchers. This guy's got a great arm. Talking about Lopez, and I've seen O'Brien, and you have too, Joe. He's a super receiver with a very good arm.
You see the difference there? He used the slide step there. He went very quickly to the plate. Other times he will take a little more time. But the Braves pitching staff overall really do not hold runners very well.
Glavine did not have a single pickoff during the 1995 season. Now with the count at 2-0, the option of the pickoff is all but 100% of the pitch out is all but 100% removed. So let's see what Lofton does. Not going again, and Vizquel taps it foul.
Well, because he's changing his pattern to the plate. He used the slide step, then he lifts his leg, and so far Lofton has not been able to figure him out. In fact, I am more impressed with Lofton as a base runner than I am as a base stealer. There is a big difference between the two.
He has led the American League in swipes 4 straight years. He's going now. Vizquel takes it, and the throw is not nearly in time.
And that was not a good throw by Lopez. He did not get a good grip on the ball. Maybe there's something on the ball out there, because Lopez did not have a good grip on it. The ball seemed to slip out of his hand because he does have an excellent throwing arm. Lofton doesn't get a great jump. See, there's the slide step, but he gets a good enough jump so that when there's not a good throw made by Lopez, now watch how, see right there, he doesn't have it, and he bounces it to second base. He just does not get a good grip on it when he transferred it from glove to hand.
The pitch was a ball, so now the 3-1 bounces in front of the plate. Lofton's going to go to third on ball 4. And Baerga will have an RBI chance. Runners at the corners with 2 out.
Well, this is why I think he's a good base runner. He sees the ball go down, and he immediately anticipates that it's going to be a ball's going to get away from the catcher. Watch Lofton behind you. The ball bounces right away. He's going. He does not wait to see how far the ball bounces away. He's on his way right away, and that's what a good base runner will do. He anticipates the ball being in the dirt and bouncing away. You have to anticipate things as a base runner, and that's what Lofton does pretty well.
So a walk and a wild pitch on ball 4. And the hitter is Baerga, with Lofton at third and Vizquel at first. And Vizquel could be running here. He stole 29. And they'd be hesitant to throw through with the daring Lofton at third. Baerga grounded to short and fly to deep left. Called strike 1.
I don't think they will let him go until Baerga falls behind an account, maybe 1-2, or gets 2 strikes. I think until that time they will give Baerga a chance to drive in the run.
Klesko way off the line and left.
Now Baerga, unless you really give him something off speed, Bob, and inside, he's not going to pull you. He's going to be left center to center right with power in the gaps. But again, as I said, if you give him something off speed, a change of pace or a breaking ball up that he can really jump on, that he'll pull.
Saw him homer to dead center in the pennant clincher off Randy Johnson, no less, in Seattle last Tuesday. 2-1.
You know, Joe, in talking about this ballpark, which they have named the launching pad, there have been a couple of balls hit tonight that I thought had chances to go, and especially the one by Lopez that really didn't carry that well at all.
Well, the last couple of years the ball doesn't seem to carry as well on certain nights because I think the wind has an effect on the ball.
Not going on the 2-1 pitch, which is sliced foul. Well, even the ball Eddie Murray hit out, he stood at the plate like it was a no-doubter, and it didn't get over the wall by all that much. Fans everywhere doing what the Kingdome fans started in tribute to Randy Johnson, rising with 2 strikes on the opposition hitter. Full count. So Vizquel will be off from first. Lofton at third. Tied at 2 in the top of the 5th.
Glavine still will not give in to Baerga on this pitch.
Right field, Justice coming on, has it. Some strange actions out there, but he made the catch. I thought, Uke, that Justice was having some trouble with this when he wobbled a little bit. What do you think happened?
I think he lost the ball in the lights, Bob. You're exactly right. He made his initial run on the ball, then lost it momentarily, recovers, and makes a nice catch on a ball that I'm sure would have been routine. Baerga thought he had the base hit. It was a slicing liner. Baerga thought he had the base hit, a ball in the gap, but Justice made a nice play, recovered very nicely. That's what David Justice was looking at on that slicing liner hit by Baerga.
Lemke as we go to the bottom of the 5th. Grounds 1-2 Baerga. And there's the first out. NBC's new Friday lineup is heating up with an all-new episode of Unsolved Mysteries. That's followed by Dateline and part 2 of the season premiere of the acclaimed drama series Homicide. You know, Robert Stack doesn't look all that different than from the Elliot Ness days, except he's in color now instead of in black and white.
He's still solving them, though.
And Walter Winchell isn't narrating it anymore. Up steps Chipper Jones. Hit the ball hard twice. Double to right. Sacrifice fly to left. Let's see if Thome can chase this one down. No. You look at Chipper Jones. Let's see if we can get a close-up of his face. There is at least a faint resemblance to the very young, I'm talking about 1952-53, Mickey Mantle. And in fact, his dad, Larry Sr., and Larry is Chipper's real first name, idolized Mantle and taught the youngster to switch hit in the fashion that Mickey's dad had done for him.
You know, I'll tell you a guy who he reminds me of. There is Chipper's wife, Karen Jones, and you may remember him, Bob. I'm sure Joe has seen a picture of him from time to time. Former Yankee third baseman Gil McDougall. That's who he reminds me of, really, facial-wise. And a lot of people are saying, who is Gil McDougall? Well, I'm not going to tell you.
Well, not in
I'm going to leave it right here.
In Cleveland, they know because he's the guy who hit the line drive that struck Herb Score, the great left-hander, and now the longtime voice of the Indians, in the head, and short-circuited his career when he was one of the most overpowering left-handers in all of baseball in the 50s.
I mean, we're going back a ways with Gil McDougall, but I guess you are with Mickey too. But he being McDougall, an outstanding Yankee third baseman.
1 out, nobody on. 2-2 to Jones with McGriff on deck. He goes the opposite way, and it drops in front of Bell. He is a more mature hitter than his rookie status would lead you to believe at first glance, Joe.
Well, I think one of the reasons he's just having fun. He laid off last year. He was out the entire season, so he comes back this year. He's just happy to be here, and he's still having fun. I mean, this is great for Chipper, and that's the way you're supposed to approach the World Series. This is supposed to be fun, although a lot of players aren't able to address it that way. And you see the reaction of his wife, Karen. She says, "Go, Chipper."
McGriff grounded to Martinez, then hit another comebacker, which Martinez deflected to Baerga for a 1-4-3 putout. So he's 0 for 2. Had the homer last night.
McGriff is one of those hitters that the more he sees of you, the more he adjusts to what you're trying to do. He can do a lot of different things. He can go the other way with you, and he can also pull you. And because Martinez is pitching him away, I expect him to find a gap in left center or right center, because he stays pretty much back through the middle when a guy stays away from him a lot.
He'll climb the ladder if you make a mistake at the letters or even shoulder high and wallop that high pitch out of the park by pulling it. But he'll also drop the bat on the ball, inside or outside, and golf one down the right field line or take you out to the opposite field if you pitch him low and away. 3-0.
And especially if you're talking about a guy who does not throw an excessive 90 or somebody in the middle 90s to high 90s. There are a lot of guys that can jump on anything middle 80s to lower 80s upstairs, but those guys that can give you the extra heat upstairs, Bob, they're a little tougher to jump on. I don't care how good you are as a hitter. Any guys who throw in the high 90s, middle 90s, a little tougher.
Hershiser couldn't get it past him last night. Let's see if we've got that flashback ready. Here it comes right here. This was a first pitch fastball, his first at-bat. And Hershiser knew he'd made a mistake, and McGriff did not let him get away with it. Now sitting on a 3-0 pitch. Gives him the breaking ball, hits it hard to Baerga. There's one to Vizquel, and there's two. Swinging away on 3-0, he grounds into the 4-6-3. Through 5, still tied at 2. On to the 6th. Neither Glavine nor Martinez is truly mowing them down, but it's still a 2-all game. Glavine is 29, Martinez is 40. Martinez is a grandfather already, has an infant grandson. And here's another indication of the difference. Glavine's younger brother, Michael, was a Class A teammate, a first baseman in the Cleveland organization, of Dennis Martinez's son, Dennis Jr. They were both at Burlington, the Class A farm of the Indians this year. Dennis Jr. a pitcher, and Glavine's younger brother Michael a first baseman. All even tonight, and neither one with his best stuff. If either one of these guys is around come the 9th inning, I'll be surprised, and I think you fellas will too.
I'm surprised at that last story.
Here's Bell. I live to raise your eyebrows.
I know you do. I love it too. Do you believe it, Joe? Say it ain't so, Joe.
So when you guys are out at the 4-star restaurants, I'm calling room service. I'm hitting the books in the hotel. 2-0 to Bell, who's singled and struck out.
I think this is a very key inning for Tom Glavine, because if he can get out of this inning, I think it throws a lot of pressure on the Cleveland Indians. If you can get them to the 6th inning and you're still tied in the bottom of the 6th, I think there's more pressure starts to build on the visiting team when you're in this situation. But you can see he is struggling here with Albert Bell because he doesn't want to make a mistake.
By my count, Glavine has been ahead with a first pitch strike only twice all night, and now he's behind 3-0 to Albert Bell with Murray on deck. Albert came into the postseason sizzling. 31 home runs in August and September, tying Babe Ruth's September record with 17. And a walk to lead off the 6th. Here's what Murray did his first time up. After a single by Bell, high fastball, and he takes it out over the left field wall. Klesko had no chance. That made him, Joe, the 3rd oldest player to homer in a World Series game. And look who's number 2 on that list for the Phillies against the Orioles in '83.
You mean I was still playing that when I was 40?
You were still thrilling them. You weren't playing. You were thrilling them.
Murray walked his second time up. Swings and misses.
But Glavine, like Martinez, will not give in to the middle of the lineup. And you see he walked Bell. He comes right back with a changeup to Eddie Murray.
He's a good double play man in Murray,
Yes.
a guy who does not have a lot of speed. And again, in last night's game, beat a lot of sinking fastballs into the ground against Maddox.
Albert Bell at first, obviously not a threat to steal, but I'll tell you something. In a double play situation, he is like a Mack truck coming down.
Remember the play against Seattle with Joey Cora? Cora with a chance for a double play at second, and somehow Bell got there.
He will flatten you.
I mean, I'm telling you, he took a shot at Cora and stopped what would have been a double play. Got the force at second, but Cora had no chance to make any kind of a throw to first on a ball that could have been a double play ball. Should have, actually. Was hit very hard.
He and his twin brother Terry were football players in high school in Louisiana. Albert had football scholarship offers, went the baseball route at LSU. Two and one.
A lot of those big outfielders like to run over a little second baseman. I mean, that's what they do for a living. They love to do that.
A lot of times they tried to run over a second baseman who wasn't there.
Yeah, that's what you have to do. You have to make sure you're not there when they get there.
2-1 pitch hit in the air to center. Grissom comes in. There's the first out.
Another changeup that Murray hit off the end of the bat.
Grissom does play that shallow center field. I mentioned Paul Blair. Anybody else you can think of who played as shallow as Grissom?
Well, I had the opportunity to play sometimes with a guy who I thought was one of the best center fielders in my era, and I think Joe saw him play too, and that was Curt Flood.
Right.
He played in St. Louis, and he played a deep center. He played a deeper center field. He had a great arm, and I mean his strong suit was charging balls that were hit into the gaps or into short center. And I mean, he got such a great jump on a ball and played a deep center. I tell you what, if you hit something over Flood's head, it had to be out of the park.
1-0 to Ramirez. 1 for 2 tonight. Runner-up last year to Kansas City's Bob Hamlin in the Rookie of the Year balloting in the American League. Hamlin experienced the sophomore jinx, was sent back to the minors for a period of time this year. Ramirez continued to improve. 2-0, way outside with both of them.
And all of a sudden now Glavine has gone almost exclusively to the changeup. Now, when I say changeup, it doesn't mean they're all the same speed. He varies the speed even on his changeups.
Bell at first with 1 out on the 2-0 pitch. The change again.
Yeah, but see, that one was a different speed than the pitch before. And the one thing that Glavine has, he has great arm speed with his changeup. To have an effective changeup, you have to have great arm speed. And it stays on the same plane as his fastball. A lot of changeups will come in a little higher and sink a little bit. His, look at it, it's like a fastball, stays on the same plane, but the speed is different.
And Bell is back easily. You're seeing a pair of outstanding professional pitchers. Glavine in the prime of his career, 3-time 20-game winner, who is trying to find a groove.
Right.
Now he is just hanging in there and trying to find that comfort zone and get that mastery. He's never had it for more than a few batters at a time tonight. And the same could be said of Martinez. 2-1 pitch. 3 balls and a strike.
But you know, he's in the area where you as a hitter, and if there's somebody on it, you got a chance to knock in a run, or you're in a tie game, and you're a Ramirez or a Murray or a Bell, somebody who can hit the ball deep. You hate to walk. I mean, guys like that are up there to hit the ball deep and hit it hard. And that's what Ramirez wants to do. If there's something close and you think you can reach it and hit it hard, you go.
Like that, yeah. But he couldn't catch up with him. Glavine has walked 3. He's thrown a wild pitch. And he has consistently been behind Cleveland hitters. A call just received in the bullpen.
That was the bullpen coach, Ned Yost. And there is activity for Atlanta.
Tomey's on deck. A small chance that he could be going on 3-2.
Albert Bell with about a 4-step lead. He doesn't want to get picked off in this situation. Not with Ramirez up there, sitting 3-2 and only 1 out. McMichael and Bourbon. Left-hander, Bourbon.
Bell not going. 3-2 pitch fouled off.
And that was pretty good hitting there by Ramirez, because that's the first fastball that he has thrown him in this entire at bat.
As you see, Ramirez punished lefties this year, but I don't know that stat applies here, because left-handed hitters do better against Glavine, as we mentioned at the beginning of the game, than righties generally do.
Saw Ramirez shaking his head. He had a good pitch to hit there, Joe, and missed it. I mean, just wasn't on it all the way.
Struck him out.
And you just know after he throws you a good fastball, he's going to follow that with a changeup, but not a lot that you can do, because, again, the good arm speed here, it looks like a fastball until you swing at it. You think it's a fastball, and all of a sudden it's not there yet. And he was a little late on the fastball the pitch before.
Hey, you could see him that time, Joe, reach for that change of pace. He was out on his front foot and really tries to extend himself to get it. Glavine on some of those changes, Joe, it almost has a screwball type effect, running down and away or running away from a right-handed batter with the off-speed stuff.
Glavine's 3rd strikeout. He recovered from 3-1 to get it. Tomey cuts and tips it foul for strike 1.
But what a good changeup does to a hitter, it makes him slow his bat down, and then he has to try to speed it back up for a fastball. And that's what Maddox does so well. He makes the hitter slow his bat down, and then all of a sudden he'll throw you a fastball, and you have to try to catch up again.
Maddox threw 93 pitches in a complete game last night. Glavine is at 98 in the 6th. Shortstop Belliard takes it himself, beats Bell to the bag. They strand a man. We go to the bottom of the 6th. Glavine and Martinez still tied at 2. David Justice was part of those worst to first Atlanta Braves, from the basement to the pennant, 1990 to 91. We asked him before the series began what the difference is between the 1991 Braves and now this Atlanta team in its 3rd World Series of the decade.
We could do no wrong, so we were in the best possible situation. But now, you know, it's a lot different. The expectations are so high for our ball club, and you know, if we win, great. If we lose, then everybody's going to probably hate us here in Atlanta. So it's kind of tough, you know, what we got to deal with now. But hey, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I mean, this is my 6th year in the big leagues, and I've been to 3 World Series now, you know what I mean, and another playoff, you know, against the Phillies. So only thing more I can ask for is a World Series championship ring.
The World Series of '91 on the short list of the great World Series ever played. Twins and Braves battling through 7 taut games, most of them 1-run games, some of them extra innings. Then the next year they went 6 against the Blue Jays and lost the 6th game here in extra innings by a run, a man at 3rd, the tying run at 3rd, when their last hitter Otis Nixon tried to drag a bunt and almost beat it out as the series ended. The 1-0 pitch to Justice, who has walked and delivered an RBI single, just his 2nd run knocked home in this postseason.
I think what Justice was talking about is they have put a lot of pressure on themselves, especially in '93 when they played the Phillies and they were not capable of backing it up. They put a lot of pressure on themselves this year, but I think they're a much better prepared team to be able to handle that.
In there, 2-1.
And you know, no matter who you talk to, Joe, no matter what the sport is, I mean, it all boils down to a ring. I mean, the championship ring. That's the finality. That's it.
You've got one from the '64 Cardinals, don't you?
Yes, and 2 more payments and that baby's mine.
Long-term installment plan. 3-decade installment plan. 2-2 to Justice.
Well, Joe Morgan, of course, a world's champion. It's something nice. It really is. It's something that you always look back on, and as we've said many times, a lot of players and great players who have never had the opportunity.
Martinez works 2-2 to Justice, and a full count. Klesko is next, and then Javi Lopez. Pitch, breaking ball, hit hard the other way. Albert Bell can't get to it, and now the ball gets past him, and on his way to second is Justice. It could be scored a double, it could be scored a single and an error. If it's the latter, it's the 4th postseason error in left for Albert Bell.
Well, when the ball was first hit, I thought he had a chance to get it, but as we talked earlier, Justice will go the other way. And he lines us down there. Bell is there, but he just does not feel the ball. And when it bounces away, of course, Justice goes into second. And Bell is there. Just bad fielding.
Got to be a single and an error as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it can't be a double.
Yeah.
It is. Single and an error. Klesko steps in on the first pitch, a bouncer toward the right side. Baerga shovels it over to Murray just in time. And there was a little confusion, it looked like, Joe, as to who should have fielded that ball.
Well, Murray thought he was going to take it, and then he decided to go to the bag, and it was a long run for Baerga. I'm not sure Murray felt that Martinez could get there in time. Look, now Martinez is not way ahead of the runner, and he didn't take a good angle. So all of a sudden, the ball takes a bad hop also, and Baerga makes a good play. But the real point is Klesko gets the job done. He pulls the ball to the right side, moves the runner over to third base, and on that replay you can see that Klesko is clearly out at first base, but again, nice play by Baerga, but good hitting there by Klesko.
Mark Wiley, the Indians pitching coach, out again for another visit with Dennis Martinez. You're right, Joe. That ball took a funny little hop on Baerga and almost got away. I mean, he had a spirit at the last moment. But Klesko again did the job. Watch this little hop right at the end. Watch Baerga. That was an easy bouncer. All of a sudden it takes a quick little spin to his right, or to his left, I should say. Watch it now. You think you get a better angle here. Watch this ball take a funny little skip right there. Baerga had a routine play up until then. Had to take a couple of quick steps to make the grab and then the toss to Murray.
Martinez will stay in to work to Lopez. Eric Plunk, a right-hander, Alan Embry, a left-hander, are throwing in the bullpen for the Indians. The infield's going to come in.
I like this young hitter. I think he'll get the job done.
Grounded out, line to deep left. And a called strike. He pinned Albert Bell to the 385 sign in left center his last time up, narrowly missing an extra base hit. Lopez had the 3-run homer in the 10th that sealed the win in Game 2 of the LCS at Cincinnati. Hit 14 of them in the regular year. Fastball bounced foul, and it's 0-2.
Very good pitch there by Martinez. That was a sinker down and in. He wants to keep the ball down so he can get a ground ball to one of his infielders, if not a strikeout. And watch the sink on this ball. See, it starts up and out over the plate, sinks down and in, and Lopez just grounds it foul outside of third.
Justice at third with one down in the bottom of the 6th. Cleveland 2, Atlanta 2.
And that's why I like Javi Lopez in this situation. Hit very well with runners in scoring position.
Atlanta leading the series, of course, 1-0 after winning 3-2 last night. And the 0-2 pitch. Pena backhands it. Field in the 1-2 pitch, sidearm, and he got a piece of it.
You're going to drop down on any right-handed hitter. I mean, if you're going to try to intimidate him a little bit, you've been coming over the top and throwing the low inside sinkers and what have you. If you're going to come sidearm, you better make sure that it's not from the middle in. I mean, middle out. There you see it right there. That wasn't a bad pitch. I mean, Lopez got a piece of it, but it wasn't the best of pitches for Dennis Martinez. You want the ball down low and away if you're going to throw a breaking ball. And I mean, if you're going to throw sidearms sometimes, Joe, and try to intimidate a guy with a good fastball down and in to back him out of there, but not in that area.
Another 1-2 pitch. Sidearm again, in the air to deep center. This at least gets a run home, maybe more. Lofton will watch it leave. That ball just kept on carrying, and Lopez continues to be a clutch performer in the postseason, snapping the 2-all tie, and the Braves lead it 4-2. You knew when it left the bat that he had snapped the tie with at least a sacrifice fly, but that ball just kept on going.
The Braves have not been a good hitting ball club, but they have been a club that produces runs, and they are a powerful hitting ball club that get a lot of clutch base hits. And Javier Lopez is one of the best.
We're just talking, Joe, about sidearm pitches. If you're gonna throw somebody sidearm, You better make sure it's from the middle out. I mean, away. That ball was right down Main Street. Look at this.
But you have to give Lopez credit. He stays out there. He extends and gets to it. He didn't try to pull it, and he's so strong he can drive the ball out in any part of the ballpark. That's why he's such a good hitter.
He's running hard. He has no idea it's going to be gone. He's thinking extra base hit. Maybe he can stretch it into a triple. And then it goes out and you see his reaction. The 1-1 pitch to Belliard. Lopez kept Raffy in the game. If he hadn't come through there with at least the sacrifice fly, they would have pinch hit for Belliard now. He's 0 for 2. The shortstop, because Jeff Blauser is a scratch for the World Series with a thigh bruise. Belliard hit just .222 this year in limited duty without a home run. In fact, he has one major league homer in a long career. He's coming up on 1,700 at-bats since he hit one out in 1987.
Well, everything Belliard did in last night's ball game was uncharacteristic of Belliard. He made an error and he drove in a run. Both are not things that he does on a regular basis.
Tries to bunt with 2 strikes, and he'll take a seat for the second out. This 1995 World Series game is brought to you by the makers of Advil. The employee owners of Avis were into the future, into it now, trying harder than ever. And Network MCI, how to get modern communications technology working for your business. Dwight Smith is going to bat for Tom Glavine. Now that he's got the lead, Cox is not going to let Glavine go any further.
Well, Bob, in the past, the bullpen has been a liability for the Atlanta Braves. Now it is a security blanket. They have a very good bullpen, and it really showed in the LCS against the Reds. They did not give up any earned runs. They went extra innings a couple of times, but they did not give up anything. And this is his security blanket now, as whereas in the past World Series, it's always been a liability.
And the breaking ball is low to Dwight Smith. And now on 1-0, he lines one through the middle for a hit. Dwight Smith, a bargain free agent pickup for about $250 grand. Before the year began, he had 16 pinch hits and 18 pinch hit RBIs for them.
This ball almost takes the head off of Dennis Martinez. Again, a pitch right down Main Street. And Smith right on it. Martinez with the glove up, about a day late and $1 short on a bullet right back through the middle. That's Mark Wiley on the right of Mike Hargrove. Buddy Bell to his left.
They'll allow Martinez to pitch to Grissom, and a called strike. Marquise is flied out, then hit by a pitch and grounded out.
Well, one of the reasons they're leaving Martinez in there with 2 outs is they hope he can get out of the inning, because he's the second batter in the top of the 7th inning. So they would like to use him to get out of this inning and then pinch hit for him in the 7th. That's why they're leaving him out there. Well, and after all, the damage has already been done. So if he can struggle and get out of this inning, it'll allow Hargrove not to use 2 players. He can only have to use 1.
Approaching the number of pitches where, regardless of the score, they'd be thinking about having him finish his night.
Here's that last breaking ball by Martinez. This time Tony Pena with a backhanded try on that ball. Knocked it down. Off quickly with a mask. Runner holding. Smith at first.
Here it is on 1-1 with the runner going, and it's hit through the hole. A hit and run single. Smith to third. Hargrove may no longer have the luxury of letting Martinez try to finish the inning, so he can hit for him in the top of the 7th. The next hitter, Lemke, is a switch hitter. It's Hargrove to the mound, not Wiley, and that means a change. He's going to the bullpen for the left-hander Embry to turn Lemke around, and we'll be right back. Dennis Martinez does not survive the 6th. Neither, for that matter, does Tom Glavine, at least not the bottom half. He worked through 6, and then he was taken out for a pinch hitter. Both managers mindful of the fact that their starters were not especially sharp, and it was only a question of who would weaken first.
Well, and I think if you match your starters up against the Atlanta Braves starters, you're going to lose. I mean, I really believe that. I think the Cleveland Indians are going to have to match them up for a couple of innings and then change.
I'm really surprised that the Braves have shut them down the way they have, Bob. I mean, this is a good hitting ball club, talking about the Indians. And even in tonight's game, Joe, I thought Martinez got away with a lot of pitches upstairs earlier that could have been hit.
Well, you're right. That's why I say if you match their starters up, the Indians are going to lose that match.
Alan Embry up and down 3 times between Cleveland and their AAA farm at Buffalo this year. Throws very hard, mid-90s. Lemke, who's 1 for 2 with a walk, stands in and takes a fastball high. Just a single to open the inning. Moved to second on an error on the same play by Albert Bell. After a ground out by Klesko, Lopez homered over the center field fence to make it 4-2. Belliard fan bunting foul with 2 strikes. Then that man, Dwight Smith, pinch hit a single, followed by a Grissom single to right. And now it's 2-0 to Lemke. First and third, 2 out, 2 runs home. 4-2 Atlanta, bottom of the 6th. In the air to shallow center. Lofton's going to take it. Now we're going to get our first look at the Atlanta bullpen in this series as we come back after this from your local station. Well, Cleveland is the home of the new Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but right now it's the Indian fans who are all shook up.
Residuals must be good.
That would be one of your least convincing Elvis impersonators anywhere on the planet.
Get out of here. Come on.
New pitcher, new left fielder. We go to the 7th. Greg McMichael works, and a strike to Pena. Mike Devereaux, the surprise MVP of the league championship series against Cincinnati, is in left in place of Klesko.
Interesting choice, McMichael, and I think he's bringing him in because of the success that they've had with the changeups. McMichael's best pitch, like Glavine, like Maddox, he features the changeup, and they have been successful in keeping the Indian hitters in check. So I think that's why they're bringing McMichael in this situation.
Another one of those guys, Joe, comes from the side. Got to make yourself stay in there against him.
He was signed a few years ago by the Braves after being released by Cleveland. Maddox and Glavine held Cleveland to just 5 hits in 15 innings. This is our first look at the Atlanta bullpen in the series. But Glavine really flirted with trouble. There were a lot of balls hit hard against him. He walked a few. He was behind on the count a lot. Chopper over the mound, charging is Lemke. He stumbles, he rights himself, and he gets the diving Pena at first.
Mark Lemke is one of the best fielding second basemen in the National League, and they have a few real good fielding second basemen in this league. And this is an excellent play. There's the changeup. He hits on top of it. Now this is just a tough play. Makes the play, slips, rights himself, and then fires a strike to first base to get the diving Tony Pena at first base. I mean, this is a tough play. He had to come a long way to get it. If he would have stayed back and let it bounce again, he would not have been able to make the play.
Bruce Fleming, the umpire at first, who missed a call in the 7th inning last night at second, has had a number of tough, close calls at first, and he's had a good night at the first base bag.
That's not what Tony Pena thought on that call.
He was out, though.
Yeah, he was out. Good call by Fleming and a good hustling play by Pena. Well, again, as Joe said, excuse me, Bob, what a play by Lemke. I mean, he stumbled twice, actually, Joe. Once when he tried to right himself, and then when he got off the throw.
Wayne Kirby now batting for Embry, who faced only the one-hitter Lemke. In the Atlanta uniform, and with the motion that McMichael has, he certainly must remind fans of Gene Garber, don't you think, Joe?
Yes, he does. And Garber featured the changeup as well.
Down and in, 2-1. That's Jim Poole up for the first time in the Cleveland pen. Alejandro Pena back for another tour of duty with Atlanta and back in the postseason. Kirby tries to bunt, fouls it off, 2-2.
And according to Bobby Cox, Alejandro Pena was the last piece of his bullpen puzzle. A veteran that has been there before and could bridge the gap between McMichaels and getting to Wohlers, their stopper.
With one out and nobody on, here comes the 2-2 pitch. Struck him out. Kirby fans as a pinch hitter. Back to the top now for Lofton.
Well, you talk about an outstanding change of pace.
Right.
Look at how far Kirby is out in front of this one. Again, off speed, down low, and Kirby's gone.
And people say, well, haven't the Indians seen change-ups and off-speed pitches before? And the answer is yes, and they've handled them. But I don't think they've seen anyone that will just constantly throw that change-up and in most cases keep it down like that.
Isn't it great when you look at some pitchers, Joe, and guys who are, you know, the real hard throwers, I mean the power pitchers.
Base hit for Lofton.
Just to continue and finish it up, the guys who are the power pitchers and throw an excess of 90, and then you have guys like this
right,
who frustrate you and get you out time after time.
A reminder, Tuesday night at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, we'll have Game 3 of the World Series as it moves to Jacobs Field in Cleveland. First pitch is scheduled for 8:20. We're on the air with the pregame at 8 Eastern and 5 Pacific time. Vizquel 0 for 2 with a walk.
Now this is a situation where I believe Lofton can go ahead and steal. And McMichael does not hold the runner very well. Plus he throws a changeup and he takes a while to deliver the ball.
Down 4-2 in the 7th. And you don't have a power bat
right
at the plate here, so it's not a bad play to go for the steal and try and play for one and cut the lead in half.
Well, that's the point. You still have 2 innings to go, so you try to get as close as you can. You do not always have to try to pick everything up at once when you're trailing late in the ball game.
But you know, the way this series has gone so far, Joe, it looks like that might be the only option for the Indians.
There he goes. The pitch down and in. The throw. He has stolen another one. He always goes in head first in the Ricky Henderson fashion.
Well, he gets a pretty good jump, and again McMichaels doesn't hold the runner well. The throw, and you see a lot of bounce throws by the catchers for the Braves because they have to hurry, because they know that their pitchers are not holding the runners well, and the only way they can get them is a quick and perfect throw.
Vizquel takes a strike.
You take a look at McMichael. See, he has plenty of time to run. He closed his shoulder right away before he picked up his leg. And anytime you do that, you let the runner know where you're going with the pitch. And a good jump there by Lofton.
You know, despite the throw being a one-hopper, Joe, if it's on the right field side of the bag, Lemke may have a play there. I mean, it wasn't the toughest of throws to handle, but Lopez threw it to the shortstop side.
That's his 4th stolen base in 2 World Series games and his 9th overall in this postseason. Now Vizquel lines one to left, and stumbling is Devereaux, and the ball gets past it. A run will score. Vizquel on his way to second, and he'll stop there. Well, when Devereaux came in, they had a superior glove in left field, much superior to Klesko, but just like that, a misplay by Devereaux gives the Indians a run.
Well, the toughest job in baseball is a defensive replacement. You come in, it's a no-win situation. If you make all the plays you're supposed to. If you do not make the plays, you're a GOAT. And that's what happens here. Devereaux slips as the ball is hit pretty hard, but you see Vizquel knows he's going to catch it right away, and then all of a sudden he slips, then he overruns it, and he has to chase it. And Lofton comes in to score.
I was going to say, Joe, he may have lost that one again. That one may have gotten up in the light standards above home plate here, just for that moment where Devereaux didn't see it, and then when he did, made the break and slipped, as you said.
A 1-run game at 4-3. We're still waiting for the scoring. And ball 1 to Baerga.
Again, one more time. As Joe said, he overran it. Once he made the commitment, there was no chance for him to come back. He slipped, went down, and Vizquel's in at second. Lofton's in. The Indians' 3rd run tonight. That guy's a better player than that.
Yes.
Score at E7. An unearned run. And a 2-0 count now to Baerga.
Even though the ball would have normally been caught, that's a tough error right there. The guy did slip and fall.
Baerga's 0 for 3. And ahead on the count 3-0. He's hit the ball hard his last 2 times up. As you see, he's had a good postseason. He is playing with a tender ankle, wearing an air cast over that ankle after spraining it in his last at-bat against Greg Maddux, last batter of the game in the 9th here last night. His cleat caught at the edge of home plate as he completed a swing. 3-1. Albert Bell is on deck. And there's a walk, and it also gets by Lopez on his way to third. Vizquel, big turn there. But he is not going to try to duplicate what Kenny Lofton did in Seattle.
Well, now with Albert Bell coming up, if it had been Lofton, he may have tried it. Bobby Cox heading out now as McMichael has had problems here in the 7th inning. That was a tough pitch for Lopez to handle. Got by him. It's a wild pitch. A walk. Baerga's aboard. Vizquel moves to third. And here it is one more time. Through the legs of Lopez. Here it is from a different angle. That pitch bounces in front of home plate, and Javier Lopez, thinking the ball was going to come up on him, stayed down through his legs, and there's Vizquel moving to third on the wild pitch. Those are not the easiest for a catcher to handle. I mean, a breaking ball sometimes will bounce up and get you. Those kinds stay down and have a chance to stay between your legs. We'll be back. Here's a different look. Little different look at that last pitch in the dirt from McMichael. Watch Lopez try to knock it down. It went through his legs and now rolling toward the lower box seats. And here comes Lopez right in your face. It's a tough pitch for a catcher to handle. Normally on a curve from a right-hander, the ball is going to hit the dirt and bounce to your left. You can get your body in front of it. Fastballs or a screwball effect type pitch from McMichael, as that one was, they have a tendency to stay down on the ground. And I know, Joe, you've seen it happen 100 times. I've had it happen that way, where you think the ball's going to come up on you. You lift your glove off the ground and it stays down and scoots between your legs. Tough pitch for Lopez. And you see what he's done in the pass ball department.
So McMichael quickly departs. The 36-year-old Alejandro Pena comes in. He was with the Red Sox earlier this year. He faced Albert Bell one time in the American League in 1995, and Bell homered.
Well, this is a better matchup for Bell. He's a more conventional pitcher, doesn't feature the changeup, comes after you with hard stuff.
Strike one to him, first and third, a run home, 2 down in the 7th. Pena, one of many Bobby Cox has used as his #1 bullpen guy through this stretch of excellence for the Braves, but they've never had anyone hold on to that closer's role for very long, until Wohlers established himself at midseason this year. Fastball foul back. Mike Stanton, Juan Berenguer, Pena at various times, Mick Michael for a while, Jeff Reardon, Charlie Lebrad in the postseason in '92. Pena quickly gets ahead of Bell 0-2. Pop back, Lopez for a look, near the screen, has it. They score one, they strand two. Stretch time in Atlanta, 4-3 Braves. This ball just about grazed the screen on the way down, but Lopez had a play.
Here's a play that a lot of catchers have a tendency to overrun sometimes. Run back too quickly, throw the mask off, and then charge back, and you have to backpedal. But Lopez took a nice easy trot. The ball, as you said, Bob, close to the screen. He had plenty of room to make the catch.
Larry Chambers-Uke is still up there in the Goodyear Blimp Stars and Stripes from Pompano Beach, Florida.
I want to ride in that thing one day. I really do. Joe asked about it today, too.
Jim Poole, another lefty, finesse guy, doesn't throw all that hard. Into the game as we move to the bottom of the 7th. So Chipper Jones bats right-handed, and he'll be followed by 2 left-handed hitters, McGriff and Justice. Jones has a double, a single, and a sacrifice fly. Another good night. In there, 1-2. Tavares, the right-hander. Assenmacher, the lefty. They only use Mesa with a lead, obviously, and almost always for only 1 inning, regardless of the situation. Even in the postseason, Mike Hargrove has never varied from that pattern that served him so well during the year when Mesa was successful in 46 of 48 save situations. 2-2 pitch to Jones, rolled to short. It comes up for Vizquel, and he's got him at first. Now McGriff, one guy Dennis Martinez was successful against while Dennis was in there, able to keep the ball down on him. Hit the ball back to the mound twice, then grounded into a 4-6-3 double play. Martinez right now stands to be the loser. Glavine the winner. 4-3 Braves. 0-2.
You know, and again, it wasn't the fact that Martinez pitched all that badly tonight. I mean, this Indian club, for the most part, has been shut down. I mean, the guys who you figure, and it's not going to be a home run every time they're up there, but I mean, because you're a long ball hitter, it doesn't mean home runs. It means balls in the gap, doubles and triples, which has not happened tonight.
A pop-up on the infield, and Vizquel, who will win almost certainly his 3rd consecutive Gold Glove, makes the play. Next Saturday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern, the Breeders' Cup live from Belmont Park in New York. Always one of the great days in thoroughbred racing, and we'll have it for you at 11:30 in the morning Eastern Time.
You'd have been a good jock. Huh? You like horses? I can see you in the irons. See you on Top Cigar in the irons with that crop in your hand and whipping that horse to the finish line. I can see it.
Have to take off a few lbs.
No, you're all right.
Get down to that, get down to that 98 or 100 pounds for a jockey.
That's a huge horse. He can carry you.
Justice ahead of Poole 2-0. 2 out, nobody on in the bottom of the 7th.
Here it is again, that little breaking ball, and David Justice on a check swing. Yep.
Justice, a pair of singles and a walk tonight.
See him talking to himself?
Well, you know what he's doing? He's trying to make himself stay back. In the last couple of series, especially the one against Cincinnati, he said he was jumping out there too quickly, and he thought he did the same thing last night. He said he's going to have to try to stay back, and I think that's what he's doing, saying to himself, stay back, stay back. And he's doing a pretty good job of it.
Yeah, it's nice to say stay back, Joe, and you also got to tell yourself, and especially against the left-hander, stay in there.
Stay in.
I mean, don't let your backside fly out. He's talking to himself right now. Throw me another good one. Throw me something close.
In there, full count.
Yeah, but I think he wanted a fastball right there.
You're right, absolutely. That's Jim McKean. Is that a pretty good pitch?
McKean of the American League has the plate tonight. Fremming of the National League in Game 3 Tuesday. This ball well hit to right, but Ramirez retreats and tucks it away. So Poole sets them down in order in the 7th. 2 more cracks at it for the Indians, down by 1. Temperatures were in the mid-60s as this game began in Atlanta, and we understand it was also a mild day in Cleveland. Considering how cold it was for Game 5 of the LCS, a lot of people were concerned about the weather conditions for Games 3, 4, and 5 in Cleveland. Right now, the forecast for Tuesday again calls for mild temperatures, high 50s, low 60s, but a chance of rain on Tuesday. Alejandro Pena will work into the 8th, but Mark Wohlers has already gotten up to throw in the Atlanta bullpen. With Eddie Murray at first base, with the DH not part of the game in the National League City, that means that Paul Sorrento, a left-handed hitter who ordinarily would be in the game, is available as a pinch hitter.
Now, it's amazing what a left-hander does to the Indian lineup. I mean, with Sorrento, a guy who normally hits 8th in the Indian lineup and is a big home run hitter. There he is right there. Paul Sorrento, big power man, but in the Seattle series, he was kept on the bench, and here in this series thus far.
Murray fouls the first one back. Actually, Herbert Perry, the right-handed hitter, might have started tonight against the lefty Glavine, although, as we've pointed out, with left-handed hitters doing so much better against Glavine than righties, maybe, had the DH been available to him, Murray would have DH'd and Sorrento would have played first base for Hargrove tonight. In any case, Sorrento would have been the starter last night against Maddox, and he has seen no action at all to this point.
Absolutely. There is Herbert Perry, right-handed batting first baseman, a youngster with power. But again, when I mean, you have to keep Murray in the lineup, and he's proven his worth for sure. But again, to keep that kind of a bat out of the lineup, Joe, a guy like Sorrento, who can hit and hit you deep, can hit for average.
2-1 to Murray.
Well, what you have to look at is the fact that the only guys they might pinch hit for are Pena and Martinez. If we look at the fastball inside, Eddie just kind of loses balance. It wasn't that far in. And you'll take a look. So it's not that far off the plate, but Eddie gets lost his balance a little bit.
Pena working to his one-time Dodger teammate Eddie Murray. Reaches for it, lifts it to center. Grissom has it lined up. One down in the 8th. Now it'll be Ramirez. When you compare stats across leagues, you've always got to take it with a couple of extra grains of salt. But Cleveland hit 291 for the year. Atlanta hit 250. Cleveland hit 207 home runs with the DH, of course, to 160 for the Braves. They stole almost twice as many bases, 132 to 73. And although Atlanta's pitching is the best in baseball, Cleveland's was the best in the American League.
I really didn't think there would be that much of a difference. Joe and I were talking about it, and you talked about it yesterday, Bob. The fact that this Atlanta pitching staff is that good that they can really shut this club down. And basically that's what they've done. And especially in situations where you've had a runner. I mean, Lofton is the guy that's really created the stuff for the Indians so far. The steals and moving up on wild pitches and some daring base running. But, I mean, they have shut this Indian club down. I'm sure the Indians are just as surprised as everybody else, unless you're a National League fan and a Braves fan.
1-1 from Pena. Exceeds 90 on the gun. Broken bat looper center field. No one can get it. Belliard out and Grissom in, and it drops between them for a one-out single. The second hit of the night for Ramirez.
And both times he has broken his bat. The first time he hit one toward the end. This one he breaks it on the handle. But he's strong enough to get a base hit. And a good effort here by Belliard. He gets out there and almost gets there, but not quite. And the Indians now have the go-ahead run in the person of Jim Thome. And we've seen him in this position before.
Thome tonight is 0 for 3.
It's another guy that, I mean, anything from the middle inside really likes to open up and really turn around on you. He can go the other way. We saw him do that in the league championship series with a 2-run homer to left. But I mean, basically he tries to take it to right and deep. I mean, hit you hard.
He's a throwback hitter in your mind, right, Joe?
Yeah, he reminds me of the throwback hitters, the old third baseman, like, and one comes to mind, Eddie Matthews. He gets his hips out of the way and he can pull the bat through. It helps him hit with it. He hits really with his upper body because he's so strong. His hips clear so he can get the bat through the zone. And by doing that, he can keep a lot of those inside pitches fair, where a lot of hitters would have to pull them foul.
Look at the way the outfield plays, Thome. I mean, we're talking about him trying to turn a ball. Look at Devereaux in right. He's only about 40 feet off, I should say in left, only about 40 feet off the line in left. Grissom in center, slightly in the left center, and then Justice deep in right.
Well, I guess the answer to that is they're going to try to run the fastball away from him. That's the only thing I can think of, because to play him that far around. Yeah, they're trying to stay away, of course. And Pena, if he throws you the good fastball away, it's going to be difficult for you to pull it down the line.
What Pena likes to do, especially against left-handed hitters, is to go to that fork ball, especially when he gets you down 2 strikes.
There's Lopez. It's going to be a fastball, probably away. Let's see. Big gaps in left and right center for Thome, but as Joe said, and from what Lopez is putting down and indicating, they want to stay away. Go away with hard stuff. Let's see. Fastball inside, fastball away. This guy made a couple of good pitches on Bell, Joe, with a high fastball to get him to foul out. And then Murray on a high heater when he hit that fly ball to center.
The 1-1 pitch. 2-1.
Was that a changeup?
Yes.
Like a change of pace.
Yeah, well, he asked for the fastball in. He said no. He asked for the fastball away. He said no, and then he decided on the changeup.
Bobby Cox defending his ball club, saying, hey, we haven't won the World Series, it's true, but we could have won a couple of times. We've accomplished so much. I don't feel we have anything to prove. We want to win because it's nice to win, not for vindication.
Now this ought to be the fastball away now. Lopez setting up outside.
There it is.
Nobody aboard at second, and Lopez, as a lot of catchers do. I mean, a lot of guys like to go through that whole different set of signs. Lopez, and I know Charlie O'Brien works that way, as do a lot of other catchers. Put down one where you want it. You see Lopez indicate with his index finger. That means he wants it away from Thome. If he puts down one with his little finger, he wants it inside. Let's see what he does here.
Now Thome is mindful of the scouting reports. He's got to be thinking about the forkball or split finger in this situation.
Fastball inside.
A throw in to first base, and they got him. Ramirez with the mistake of a youngster in a World Series game, straying off first.
That was a planned pickoff play, though. You saw the sign by Javier Lopez inside, and then he gave him the fist, like really pumping in there. And see, he's already throwing already. He's ready to go. That was a planned play. They saw Ramirez was getting too big a lead at first base.
Oh, and they had him by plenty, Joe. Great pitch by Pena for a catcher to throw on.
Right, up
high and
in.
tight, come right out behind the hitter. There's nobody in your way. I mean, you got a clear shot to first, and he threw a strike.
And now Thome draws a walk.
Wow, what a big play.
Yeah, but see, they wanted to pick Ramirez off. Once they picked Ramirez off, they were saying to themselves, I do not have to give in to Thome anymore.
This is a big, big play. And he had him by plenty. Fleming right on it. A perfect strike by Lopez. Oh, boy. Mike Hargrove, Buddy Bell. Big play.
So, Joe, you're saying on that play, it's set up not just between the catcher and the first baseman, but the pitch itself is designed to give Lopez the location to throw on.
Well, did you see he gave the sign as one inside, and then he pumped his fist like up and in, which he wanted a good mustard on the fastball, which he got, and he turned and fired to first base.
Now Hargrove is going to go to his bench, and Bobby Cox will do the same. Cox is going to have a double switch in place here. Polonia to left. Justice comes out of the game, and Devereaux goes to right. Pena's still on the hill, but let's see if Cox is coming to get him. Wohlers is coming in from the bullpen, so that's it for Pena. And Sorrento will pinch hit for Tony Pena. So with 2 out in the 8th, Wohlers out of the bullpen, Sorrento off the bench, and we step aside for a moment.
Let's watch these signals. He's going to give the sign inside. Now watch him pump it up. Give it to him. Now watch him look down at McGriff right there. He makes eye contact. Now here comes the ball right where he wanted. He doesn't take any time. He comes up firing to first base. I mean, he didn't look to see if Ramirez was off. He just came up firing to first base. No hesitation, and that's what made the play.
How about the look on Thome's face here? Joe, he doesn't know what's going on.
And
he doesn't know it's a pickoff play.
And neither did Ramirez.
No, he sure didn't. And a swipe tag by McGriff, but Pena was the key to that. I mean, Pena was the key, right? He made a perfect pitch. High inside fastball. Lopez had no problem. I mean, Thome really didn't have to get out of the way. If Thome falls backward, Joe, or if he ducks down, then he impedes the throw of Lopez. But it was perfect. High and inside, you just move the guy back a little bit and come out throwing. Perfect pitch by Pena. And a big, big play. Wow.
Ramirez alone with his thoughts in the corner of the dugout. Sorrento has come out of that dugout. He had 235 for the year with 25 homers. This is his first at-bat of the World Series. He was 0 for 2 with a walk as a reserve for the Twins in '91 in the World Series against the Braves. Mark Wohlers, who sometimes reaches triple digits on the radar gun, comes in. You could hear the catcher's glove pop all the way up here.
Wow. That last fastball approaching 3 digits at 98.
I guess, Bob, what's the difference between 98 and 100?
Not
when it gets
much
up that
to
high.
me.
When it gets up that high, it's almost impossible.
Thome at first with 2 out. That one reaches 99, and Sorrento skies it to center with Grissom starting in, then circling back and tucking it away. No runs, a hit, a base running gaff, a man is left, and it's still 4-3. Here's the MCI proof positive replay of the game, the one we were just focusing on.
And again, a perfect pitch by Pena. What Joe and I were talking about a moment ago, Thome had nothing to do except lean back. No falling out of the way to impede the throw from Lopez, and he fired a bullet. And they had him. That was not even close, Joe, when you're talking about a pickoff play. I mean, you get a guy picked off first base by a foot or so, that's a lot from a catcher.
Especially from a catcher.
Tavares, the right-hander, comes out of the bullpen. After Sorrento hit for Pena, we've got a new catcher, and it's Alomar. Alomar's going to hit in the 9th spot, and the pitcher assumes the 8th spot in the order, vacated by Pena and Sorrento. So Alomar would be the leadoff man in the top of the 9th.
So you're saying Hargrove is making that infamous double switch.
Here's Devereaux, who came into the game for defense in left, promptly betrayed the Braves and allowed an unearned run with a 2-base error, but that's uncharacteristic for him.
I'll tell you what, if that second one was a strike and it was not a check swing strike, that was a strike 2 or a strike 3.
A strike also and strike 3. 4-3 Braves as they bat in the bottom of the 8th. Lifted to the right side, Ramirez comes loping in for the catch. Ramirez, no doubt, out there in right field replaying that pickoff. Very embarrassing and very costly, at least potentially, in the World Series.
Hey, this is a heck of a game tonight, as was last night's. I mean, this 2-game series here in Atlanta has been great. It really has. To watch Maddox last night and Hershiser, and tonight was a couple of odd plays in this ball game, and the Braves with a chance to make it 2 in a row.
Now the man of the hour, Lopez, is grazed by that pitch and trots down to first. He had homered to snap the 2-all tie his last time up in the 6th, and in the previous at-bat he had sent Bell to the wall to haul in his long drive. That's the way you like to be hit if you're going to be hit. It just barely ruffles your shirt.
Well, they had given up a home run on the ball out over the plate, so I'm sure they were determined to pitch him inside, not that far in, but determined that they were going to pitch him inside and not let him extend his arms again.
Got me, he said.
Belliard, the shortstop, cuts and misses. Polonia occupies the 9th spot. When they took Justice out a while ago, it was because he had made the last out in the bottom of the 7th. So the pitcher assumes that spot, number 5, and Polonia is in the 9th spot and on deck.
I'm surprised that they're not bunting with Belliard here, and just to try to get one more run for Wohlers in the 9th inning.
A bouncing ball to short. Can they turn 2? There's one. Baerga gets rid of it, and they do. In the 9th, Alomar, Lofton, and Vizquel. Well, we had assumed that Mike Hargrove would double switch and let Sandy Alomar Jr. lead this inning off, but instead Alomar is in the number 8 spot. The pitcher remained number 9, and the only left-handed bat he had, and this is why we assumed that Alomar would be the leadoff man, is the switch hitter Ruben Amaro, who hit just 200 for the year and 60 at-bats, although from the left side he was 6 for 20, and that's 300. He was on the Phillies club that went to the World Series in 1993 after beating the Braves in the LCS, and he has better speed than Alomar, so should he get aboard to begin the inning, it would give Hargrove a few more options strategically.
He better have some bat speed here against Wohlers, leading off in the ninth.
This is the guy, Ruben Amaro Jr., they decided to keep on the roster instead of Dave Winfield, the 25th man for the postseason. And the reason they did it is because of the speed. Winfield in uniform, as he has been for all 3 series, but ineligible. Wohlers trying to save it for Glavine. 98 miles an hour, but outside the strike zone, and he's behind 2-0.
Came on and got Sereno, I was going to say, to win the 8th inning on a fastball with a fly to center. Missed twice here on Amaro.
But he did struggle to close a couple of games against the Colorado Rockies in that series. He got it done, but he struggled a little bit. Walked a couple of hitters.
You knew he was going to make him throw a strike, and he did at 98.
But that's the right thing to do. If you're leading off as a pinch hitter, and especially a guy that's not known for his power, you make them throw you a strike.
Braves outfield playing Amaro to hit the other way, with Wohlers throwing in the 90s range. The outfield swung around towards left. They don't feel that Amaro is going to be able to pull it.
Polonia shallow in left and close to the line.
Now they're making noise here in Atlanta now. 2 outs away from a 2-0 lead. 3, I should say.
But with only the slimmest of margins to work with. Struck him out to begin the ninth. Got a brief glimpse of Dave Winfield a moment ago. One of the great moments of his career came in this ballpark. He delivered the double off Charlie Lebrand in extra innings that wound up winning Game 6 of the World Series in '92 for the Blue Jays. The series deciding hit. Here's Lofton. A bouncing ball. Jones has it. Throws him out. If Jones, who was in close, had been unable to cut that ball off and it had to be Belliard charging from short, no way he gets Lofton.
No chance to get him whatsoever. And again, Wohlers with a great fastball. And here's Lofton beating it into the ground. Jones quickly off the line, and an easy play. Easy play for the second out in the ninth.
Vizquel is hitless. And a strike. And that's through for a hit as Wohlers tried to barehand it. He couldn't do what Omar routinely does, barehand the ball. That was a hot shot.
He hit the ball pretty well. Low fastball, and again, Wohlers up into the air. He never really had a chance at the ball. It looked like it hit him off the fingers. So the Indians with a tying run aboard. Not done yet.
And that's just a reaction by Wohlers. If he could have thought quickly enough, you would never put your pitching hand up there on a ball hit that sharply.
Vizquel stole 29, second on the team to Lofton's 54 in the regular season. Baerga takes it high. He's 0 for 3 with a walk. but he's lined out hard, once to left and once to right in this game.
But Wohlers does not hold runners very well. He has a slow delivery to the plate, but I don't think the Indians are going to risk being thrown out at second base for the final out of the game. I think they're going to let Baerga hit.
You got to at least give this guy a chance and get Bell up there, Joe.
Right.
The 1-0 pitch, grounded foul. During the regular season, Baerga had 90 RBIs. Remember, they played only 144. And he hit over 300 again at 314.
He is a very fine offensive player. I mean, he has done some things that only the great Roger Hornsby has done. 200 hits, 100 RBIs, hit over 300.
This was the 4th straight season that he topped the 300 mark. Wohlers trying to finish it and send the Braves to Cleveland up 2-0 with their second consecutive one-run victory. Vizquel is going on the 1-1 pitch, and there's no throw. A single could tie this game.
Hargrove showed me something there. Normally, managers do not want to have the game end with their runner being thrown out at second base. But again, Wohlers does not hold runners well. And look at the high leg kick, high slow leg kick. And Vizquel had a great jump, no throw from Lopez.
He had about a 5-step jump, Joe, after his lead. And despite the fact that Wohlers is throwing in the high 90s, Lopez had no shot. Put that ball in your pocket. He had no chance for Vizquel at second.
The 2-1 pitch. Up high, 3-1 with Bell waiting. Polonia, we know, has a weak arm in left. Grissom, you said earlier, average arm in center. Joe, what about Devereaux, who's now in right?
Again, Devereaux throws pretty well, nothing outstanding. But again, with 2 outs, you're not going to get Vizquel at the plate. None of the outfielders are going to be able to throw him out with 2 outs. He's going to be running on contact, and he runs well. They will not have a shot at him.
And the 3-1 pitch, fouled off, full count.
He had one to hit. Fastball right down the pipe. He had one to drive and hit deep and fouled it back.
Well, the ball has to be down if you're going to face Wohlers and drive the ball. It has to be down.
Wohlers with the Braves since the early 90s. Never able to seize that closer's role until after this year began. Suddenly it all came together for him. The 3-2 is coming. And we'll do it all over again.
Well, and it's great. This situation, guy throwing hard, hitter sitting on a fastball, and a guy with power. The tying run aboard. He's the lead run.
And Wohlers steps off. Again, the 3-2. And this one is popped up. It's Chipper Jones. And it's 2-0 Atlanta.
This telecast has been produced by the Baseball Network in association with NBC Sports.